Welcome one and all to day 3 of the Fixed Ops Roundtable Dare to Dream event. Join us in the daring dance toward unmasking childhood cancer. Now here is our marvelous host, Cara Delane.
Good morning and welcome to day 3 of the Fixed Ops Roundtable Dare to Dream event. I'm your co-host, Cara Delane from Hinton Brand Dealerships. We all know that it takes 2 to tango. So we partnered up with the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society to unmask cancer. So don your mask and dare to dream because the final masquerade is about to begin. The masquerade awaits. Make your move on the ballroom floor by using the chat feature on the right side of your screen. Just make sure that you select everyone and not just host and panelist. Our first speaker is ready to start our day by showing us how to rise, evolve, and impact together. Please welcome Glenn Lundy.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. It's a great honor today to have with us Glenn Lundy of the 800% Elite Automotive Club, a great friend of the automotive retail community and a great friend of the Fixed Ops Roundtable. Glenn, welcome back to the event.
What's up, man? It's great to be back. It's always amazing to see you. I love having conversations, and it's an honor to be here.
Your career has absolutely skyrocketed. Just when I thought it couldn't get any higher, this last year, Glenn, I have been following you, your travels, private jets. I see Cardone. I see all these things that you're doing. Just amazing stuff. So congratulations on all the success you are having, my friend.
Oh, well, thank you, Ted. You know, it's been, I've got so many great people around me that it's been a really fun year. We're learning a lot, right? We're learning a lot and trying to learn as many things as we can, as fast as we can. Definitely been a really fun season. And I feel like we're starting to get a little bit of momentum. So really excited to see where the team can take it, because I know we are on a mission to serve as many dealers as we can, and especially with the market being the way it is right now, and so it's a great time for a great time, you know?
And so many dealers I've spoken to, I mentioned to you in the green room, have told me about your 800% Automotive Elite Club. What a great time to be sharpening our skills also in automotive. We've gone through, as you used that word, season, quite a season this past 2.5 years with a lot of change. And I think we still have a lot of change yet to come, my friend. A lot of dynamics in the marketplace that we're going to be encountering. Here we got maybe 6 weeks left in the year, and now we're in 2023.
Yeah, it's can you believe it, Ted? Can you believe we're almost in 2023?
No.
And I think back, right? Whereas as humans, we tend to quickly forget a lot of things. And so I think back and I remember, where we were at in February of 2020. I remember, oh, we should be fine in 3 months. We should be fine in 5 months. Everything will be back to normal. I remember that whole conversation for the first year and a half. And now here we are going on, we're going on 3 years since that initial, experience. And it's just, it's fascinating to me. I will say this, Ted, from what we can see, and the people we've been able to connect with, conversations we've been able to have, and just the data that we've been able to collect. The last 2 years was difficult in a lot of ways outside of our business and outside of our industry. It was difficult and challenging on a personal level, for a lot of people, those types of things. But if we really look at the data, I mean, golly, the car business has never been easier than what it was in the last 2 years. And I do not believe that is going to be the case in the upcoming years. I think that we'll have those personal challenges that we have had, hopefully not at that same level. But on top, I think that there are going to be a lot more business challenges than what we had the previous 2 years.
These past couple years, Glenn, they almost righted the car business and put us back where we needed to be. When you look at all the things we were facing with, bloated inventories and values on cars and, customers who owed a lot more than they were worth. And, you're right. We're coming into some headwinds now. And of course, fixed operations has probably never been stronger. And there's a lot of change coming. You've got EVs coming into the market. You've got connected car where, the car now communicates on its own, right? And there's going to be a lot of updates and perhaps a lot of revenue to be shared on that. And that's going to also affect a lot of the staffing back at the dealership. And, so many things in play, yet the basics will probably be the most important thing. What do you think?
I think that the service departments, the fixed ops side of our industry, I think that they're really going to get their heroes welcome in the upcoming years. The one thing that the EV manufacturers or these outside tech companies or whatever, the one piece they don't have is and can't really have in a fast amount of time is they don't have the real estate that we have. We have a ridiculous amount of real estate when it comes to servicing vehicles. And so you can go direct to consumer on buying a car if you want, manufacturers, and you can do all of those things, right? Buy direct from Cadillac or Chevy or Nissan or Toyota or whoever wants to go that way. But when it comes to the service side, and we're seeing this, right? We're seeing this with Carvana. We're seeing this with Tesla. We're seeing this already where they're like, oh, okay, great. We can sell cars, but what do you do when they don't work? And I think that the real estate that has been built up in the auto industry over the last 100 years of servicing vehicles since 1922, when Ford first came out with that Model T, that's not something that is duplicatable in a short amount of time. And so I think the unsung heroes of the fixed ops department are about to get their days of glory in the upcoming years.
Yeah, you're right. We've got that real estate, we've got that infrastructure, and we've got the ability to take care of the customer. And it's still comes back, Glenn. It's a people business. You and I are in a people. I mean, we sell cars, we service cars, but it's still a business all about people all the time. And, you know, God bless the dealers, right? Because we've understood that model from the beginning, and we're so resilient.
Yeah, it's definitely a people game, and it's an evolving people game, though. Don't get it twisted, right? We have to evolve with the consumer and be able to meet them where they are with the appropriate technologies and advancements and the speed at which things need to be taken care of. Like, we have to make sure that we're cutting edge as far as those things go, but the overall principles don't change, which is there's nothing more valuable than a firm handshake and a big smile and someone feeling seen, heard, and significant, as long as we do it in a very fast and technological manner.
Yeah, and we've got that technology. I mentioned you, Liza was here earlier in the event.
Such an amazing human.
Right, and look at the great strides Carter Meyer has made now in the last year or 2 or 3 years. Look how that has grown, and you're a big part, Glenn, of what they're doing at CMA.
Oh, well, thank you, man. Yeah, Liza and I have become very dear friends over the years. I respect her so much for who she is as a leader and who she is as an operator, what she's done in the industry over the years, what her family has done in the industry over the years. It's incredibly admirable. And so it's really been an honor that Liza has folded me in with her organization. I guess it's been going on 3 years now. We've had the opportunity to work with her entire group that just continues to grow and grow and grow. Every 6 months, it seems she's adding, another group. And now I know she's got over 1,100 associates. And so it's really been awesome to be able to run with her, learn from her, and at the same time, bring my experience that I've got, bring that to the table to help her move lives forward, which is what matters most to Liza Myers Borges.
That's their mantra. So, Glenn, how do we do that going forward with the technology, with great dealers like Liza, keeping this culture and keeping a balance with the technology and addressing the changes? And there's a lot of changes coming on the dealer side. I'm hearing about dealers who are now going to 4-day store-wide work weeks. That all that is now in play, right? We're looking at a better environment for the employee. To give the guest a better experience, the employee has to have as good, if not better, an experience.
No doubt. And it's more important now than ever. I'm seeing it all over the place. I'm seeing it all over the place. There are people leaving very, very high paying jobs, positions that they've been in, positions that they're really good at, but they're leaving because they're missing the passion and the fire of being a part of something bigger than themselves. The next generation is really special, Ted. Like, they're a really special generation, and they have seen guys like you and I, and they've seen our parents, and they've seen a society that was really driven by exchanging time for money. That was the deal, right? You exchanged time for money. You went to work at whatever time in the morning, you came home at whatever time in the evening, and you did that for 25 years or whatever it is. And in the end, you get your pension and your little retirement from the government or whatever. And so they've seen that, and they've also seen how that works out in the end. And they're starting to see, like, oh, wait a minute, I don't want to be worried about regrets, and I don't want to be worried about finances when I'm 70 years old, right? And so they're starting to really see that, I think. And so they're demanding a different experience. And I think they have every right to do so. And so it's been fun. I love the next generation. The generation after them is even great as well. And I'm learning every day as we're building our company here. We're building with that in mind. How can I attract top talent from the next generation and the generation beyond? And so my employees, we've got a team of, we're up to 12 people now, and they're not the highest paid people in the world, like by any, like not even close to what they could get paid in different situations. But we focus on results, not how we get there. And so they have flexibility. They're taking their kids to school. They're picking their kids up after school. They're, they're working in. Every one of my employees has a different schedule. Every single one of them. Some come in earlier, leave earlier. Some come in later, leave later. Ultimately, it's just results driven. And so I think that's the world that we're in right now. Is we have to get really creative. When I was young, kick me in the teeth and give me a check, and I was good, right? You kick me in the teeth every day. I'll work 90 hours a week, and you give me a check, and that was awesome. That's how I did it. But that's not what the generations behind us are into. We have to make sure we're staying ahead of the curve. You mentioned, how do we blend in that technology, and still tie into that piece? And I think, Ted, it's the answer to that is we have to get very, very clear on what it is we do best. What it is we do best that we're really passionate about, that makes economic sense. And once we get real clear on what it is that we do best, that we're passionate about, that makes economic sense, we focus specifically on that and allow technology to evolve within that realm. What I see a lot of companies do that I feel is a mistake is, instead of saying, this is what we do best that we're passionate about, that makes economic sense, how do we continue to evolve it? Instead, they're going, well, let's try this over here. And maybe let's try this over here. And what about this piece over here? And then so-and-so's doing that, so maybe we should try that. And well, they're doing this, so now let's try this. And then when it doesn't work, they're jumping around, right? There's a story of the fox and the hedgehog, Ed. I don't know if you've ever heard this story, but the fox wants to get the hedgehog, wants to eat the hedgehog. And so the fox is constantly coming up with different schemes, like Wile E. Coyote and the Roadrunner. The fox is constantly coming up with different schemes every single day, a different strategy with different technology on how he's going to catch the hedgehog. And every day the hedgehog comes down the same path. He sees the fox. What does the hedgehog do? Curls into a ball, puts his spikes out, and no matter how the fox attacks, he can't ever get to the hedgehog, because the hedgehog knows exactly what it does best, that it's passionate about its ability, right? And it just makes sense. And so I feel like we need less foxes and more hedgehogs. Evolve the armor on your hedgehog. Make sure it's sharp. Make sure your blades are sharp. But ultimately, we don't need to reinvent the wheel. There's too many organizations out there that are trying to completely reinvent the wheel. They're getting away from the principles that make us strong and have for 100 years.
Tell us a little bit about 800% Elite Automotive Club. Tell us what you're doing there and how that works.
Yeah, so 800% Elite Auto has been a lot of fun, Ted. What we've discovered is most dealerships are just 2 or 3 tweaks away, right? 2 or 3 tweaks away from being able to grow 25, 40, 50, 70%, in 90 days is really what we've found. And so what we do with 800% Club is we combine a tremendous dealer network of independent dealers, franchise dealers, large dealers, small dealers, big groups, and single points, all different franchise, foreign and domestic. We bring them all together, and we utilize a sequence of virtual experiences, live one-on-ones, group trainings, and retreats, in-person retreats. And we utilize all of those, including and also our partnerships that we have with OEMs and brand partners. And we take all of that information, all that data, and all of that fun, right? All that fun stuff, and we pull it all together, and we help each other create roadmaps that keep us 6, 8, 10 months ahead of all the changes that are happening in our industry. And so it's a combination. We call it edutainment. We have a really good time while we're learning, and we do it together, and we're really just leveraging everybody's wisdom on a nationwide scale. So it's been super cool. Ted, we're serving we've got 145 rooftops now, which is
wow.
incredible.
Wow.
90 or so individual owners and GMs. It's a lot of fun. It works. It's simple. And I think the best part is we've been able to create a space where owners and GMs who sometimes feel like it's like they're in this game alone, they're having to figure it all out on their own. We bring them into a space together so that they know, hey, there's other people here that are like, yeah, me too, and let's figure this out together. So it's been special.
Glenn, congratulations to you on what you're doing. If our audience wants to reach out, I see there's a web address down below, 800.
Yep, 800eliteauto.com. Yeah, come check it out, man. Be glad to hear from you.
Hey, Glenn, I want to wish you and your family a very happy Thanksgiving, and thank you for everything that you do for automotive retail. Your talent is greatly needed and appreciated, and highly respected as well, Glenn Lundy.
Oh, thank you, Ted. I appreciate you, sir.
Glenn Lundy, everybody, here today at the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
encouraging us all to dare to dream is our first keynote of the day, Robert Donovan from Dom 360.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. Robert Donovan is the CEO and founder of a company called Dom 360. He's a thought leader in the industry. He's been a big force to be reckoned with for many, many years. I want to welcome him. This is their first time on the Fixed Ops Roundtable. Robert, welcome to the conference.
Thank you, Ted. That was very kind of you.
Robert, all true, and I've heard so much and watched so much about what Dom 360 is doing throughout the industry. And I thought today, you as a thought leader in the industry, I'd like to have a conversation with you, of course, about how the industry has been evolving and changing, but how a lot of these things have impacted the customer and the customer experience, which I know that's right in your wheelhouse.
That's what we do. So back in the day, it was maybe tires for life, or now it's there's a big focus on fixed ops, and it really is about communicating to the customer what's in it for them. What can we offer the customer, and how can we make their experience the best it can be, and how are they going to choose our client or our dealer over the guy down the street, because everybody offers this stuff, and we're competing with independent repair facilities as well. So
yeah, the independents have taken a big bite of the apple, and the dealers are aware of it. And you're right, there's been such a focus now on fixed ops, simply because it's been considered now, two and a half years ago, an essential business. And with all that's happened with the shortages of inventory, parts and chips and so on, a lot of these recent trends have really gravitated us towards service and parts. And a lot of what you do at Dom 360 impacts that customer throughout the entire experience.
Well, there's one of the things that has happened in COVID is the dealers have pulled back on their share of voice in the market. So, whatever billboards or radio buy or TV, and we're still trying to figure out how OTT shakes out, and Netflix, going to have commercials and all that. But we really have to market the dealership in a way that the customer can take that next step in that journey and feel comfortable about it. We've spent a lot of time coming up with the best mousetraps on the variable side, and call to actions and buttons and e-pricers and all this stuff. But is the service scheduler button the easiest way to do it? Is it a double opt-in with a text? Is it a mobile website? Is it really just doing outreach the old-fashioned way, which dealerships that do that do it very well, and staying on top of the actual unit? So there's many different ways to skin that cat, but really, making it the best possible experience for the customer is what we're all about, and how we help our dealers win.
A number of the things you just mentioned are very dominant topics at the Fixed Ops Roundtable. One of them I'll mention was that online scheduler, all right, and the consumer's experience in going through that. And I see now there are a lot of studies, a lot of dealers involved with exactly what that does with the customer. I got to ask you, how are all these trends, because everything is starting online now and staying online, how are all these trends affecting marketing and advertising agencies, and how are companies like yours meeting that challenge?
Well, I mean, with the shortage of new cars, then you skew to a used car naturally, which is where our dealers have been selling cars lately. Okay, so if you look at a new car demographic, we're typically 35 to 54. Historically, that's been, the demographic for a new car. You're a little bit older, a little bit more mature, your credit's established. A used car buyer is a younger buyer, right? So that's usually the 18 to 34-year-old, right? So this is somebody that is probably just getting going, not as sophisticated, looking for the best possible deal. So if we've spent the last 2 years selling used cars, and we have a younger skewing buyer inherently, what are we doing? How are we adjusting that marketing message for that younger skewing buyer that may see the dealership as, oh, I can't afford to service my car there. I'm going to go to this independent repair facility. How do we make sure that they're comfortable? These new generations coming up, these, Generation Y, Generation Z, that it can be very intimidating for them, especially if they don't have that cash. Even financing a service repair order, we see things like this happening, and dealerships that are taking advantage of this piece is providing dividends for them. So.
And I also see communicating with them in a different way, depending on the buyer and how, for example, one of the topics we've been discussing is how they pay for a service. You alluded to that. And of course, they can start a lot of that process now online, but at the dealership window, the old school method of having the cashier and the customer line up there, with a lot of the technology that's out there, we don't have to do that in other industries anymore. And I see that evolving now in the automotive retail industry.
Well, I mean, let's just talk about Venmo and Apple Pay. I mean, like if you just look at health insurance, right? When we were younger, we were off our parents' health insurance when we were 18 years old, or maybe 22 by the time we were done with school. Like health insurance, you can get health insurance into your later 20s now and be on your parents' plan. All right, these younger generation, they have an Apple ID with their parents' card attached to it, right? And so they're using that for expenditures. Can a dealership take an Apple Pay? Can a dealership take a Venmo? Right? These are how these people are accumulating and using their balances. Even though the banking industry kind of caught up with Zelle, the adoption rate has been very, very slow. And so, are we set up to even do business with the younger generation?
And interestingly enough, one of the things the customer, I'm hearing, remembers most about their experience at the dealership, especially in service, is that last part where they pay for it and how that was handled. And you're talking about a lot of things right now that are resonating here with the fixed ops community. How do you see the future of automotive retail, integrating technology? Because all of us interact on this cell phone now. I mean, it's in our hands all the time. Technology and innovation with retail, it seems, ripe for disruption.
Well, I mean, as long as we have an internal combustion engine, we will have a representative dealer within a 5-mile radius of a customer in a PMA in a large market, small market, maybe a little bit further out. But I do see the trend, going towards EV. Is this sustainable? I mean, we're building all of this infrastructure for electric vehicles and powering that electricity with coal power. So it's a little bit of a change of a little bit of sleight of hand there. So as the industry evolves over the next 10 years, I think we're going to see just a Porter's 5 forces. You're going to see new entrants. You're going to see, China's been chomping at the bits to get in here several times with their EVs. I mean, they have a $5,000 EV right now that they would love to be selling here in the United States, and so I think you're going to see, the Attorney General laws and NADA kind of battling for the dealers and all that stuff. But I think that at the end of the day, people want to do business with somebody who's familiar to them. You don't want to have an Uber Eats experience. When the pizza came back in the day, you called the pizza place and you're like, hey man, the cheese slid on my pizza. You got to do something for me. If that happens with Uber Eats, you can't do anything, right? So if we eliminate the dealer and go to a distribution model, like some people are talking about, that's just going to erode brand loyalty and create the opportunity for a new entrant. So
you're doing a lot at Dom 360 on that customer experience. I want to talk to you about some of the things that you've been involved with some of the dealers who are familiar with the Fixed Ops Roundtable. I learned from speaking to you in the green room earlier, I didn't realize you've also got a background, Robert, you personally, as a technician, as a diesel tech. Would you mind just maybe giving us a little bit of color on that before we talk about some of the success stories?
I was in the trenches. So my first 4 years in the Marine Corps, I was attached to a reconnaissance battalion in the Marines. It was a light armored vehicle, so an eight-wheeled vehicle. It had some propellers on the back, so we could go in the water. And I learned everything about these vehicles. We just sent a bunch of them to Ukraine. But in the Marines, you got to be able to shoot, move, and communicate for that vehicle to be up and running. Otherwise, it's on deadline, and the deadline report goes all the way up to the general, who runs the base or runs that command. So you don't want to be on the deadline report, and so we need to keep our vehicles shooting, moving, and communicating. And so it was always mission critical for us to do that, whether we had the resources or not. There was a lot of MacGyvering going on. When you're out in the middle of nowhere, you just got to be able to fix it. And so there was always the mission accomplishment side of things, which was, it really makes me sympathize with technicians and really what they go through. And I think that it's the core and heartbeat of a dealership.
Well, thank you for your service. Okay, first of all. And I know that you at Dom 360 are very involved in fixed ops. I saw recently, just a few weeks ago, a big announcement with Update Promise, who's very well known here at the Fixed Ops Roundtable with Dom 360. And Kurt Nixon is a great friend of the Fixed Ops Roundtable and the entire family. Tell us a little bit more about that, because I think that's very interesting for fixed ops.
I think it was a series of serendipitous events. We really had the client as the driver. I mean, we all know Gino Walsh. He's fantastic. He's a thought leader. He's always thinking about the next greatest thing. So it was really like his baby. He wanted us to do the marketing, Update Promise to do the tech, and then let's hold everybody accountable by having VistaDash do independent reporting, right? And it was really great because he got the unadulterated everything. And so, we positioned Update Promise, again, customer centric, broke it down shotgun style. So the customer really understood the value prop of that tech. We ran it for 90 days. We spent 50 grand, yielded $500,000 in profit. I mean, it was just unimaginable what happened. And it was really the collaboration of all three of us. I mean, there was probably over 100 hours of calls between VistaDash, Update Promise, us, Gino, and really getting this marketing right, getting the customer experience right on the website. And at the end of the day, the customer won, and as a result, the dealership won.
Wow. So, all those names, Dan Moore at VistaDash, Veronica Dunford, Kurt Nixon, Update Promise, and, they're all on the roundtable. They're all, speaking to various different things. And Cavalli has been a big part of that as well. What a success story, Robert, not just for the dealer group, as you just said, but also for the customer, right? At the end of the day, it's really for them.
Yeah. And I would say this to other agencies or other tech companies or whatever, you have to collaborate now. Okay. If you want to put yourself on an island and blame other vendors or point fingers or whatever, your life expectancy with that dealer is going to be low. Okay. You have to act in the greater goodness of that dealer. Okay. And the greater good for that dealer is to collaborate. And that's always been one of our mantras. And so we have client retention of 5+ years on over 40% of our business. We have clients that have been with us since the beginning for 15 years. Okay. This is unheard of in the advertising agency business, where the average client turn is 12 to 18 months. So, yeah, we love it. We love the interaction. It's what we do. It's kind of embedded in our core values, and we don't want the job if we can't if we can't effectuate change. So we'll fire ourselves if we can't help, but usually we can help as long as everybody wants to participate.
We're speaking today to Robert Donovan, who's the CEO and founder of Dom360, a company that's involved and has its roots and legacy in retail automotive. They work and they breathe and they know this retail business extremely well. Robert, I got to ask you, you mentioned customers, clients who've been with you now for 15 years, and that speaks volumes. You're doing some new things. What are you doing new and different now, above and beyond what you've done in the past? Because I think this is a great segue and a great introduction to the fixed ops community to have you here with us today.
Yeah. So, I mean, like everybody, we've kind of rethought, our business, and, some things we've been doing the same way, for 15 years. And with the rise of AI, I mean, we've implemented some cool engines. We've realized that there's a point of diminishing returns with VDPs. So you can put so much ad spend towards a VDP view, but then at some point you can overspend on sending people to specific inventory pieces. So what we've done is this AI engine that we've had has been learning. And so what we've done is we've created and kind of taken the 29 things that we do every month, and we've built it into a new tool that we're launching here at NADA. So we're really excited to talk about that. I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag yet, but that's one piece. Another piece is there's dealerships getting sued right now because they're not complying with credit card transactions properly. They're taking deposits or partial payments on vehicles. And they're not keeping that information secure. Sometimes the cashier has an elaborate Excel spreadsheet with customers' credit card information. So we've actually taken that and we've put it in the correct environment to where the sales department has visibility, the accounting department has visibility, and the customer can leave a deposit or partial payment right on a VDP. So that's another product called Got Dibs. That's launching here at the end of the year as well. So,
wow, a lot of exciting things. Robert, if our audience, our dealers, managers want to reach out to Dom360 and learn more about you, your company, and what you can do with them as a whole, not just for one thing, but for all the things that you do, what's the best way for our audience to do that?
I mean, you can obviously reach out to me directly, Robert at Dom360. I would really encourage anybody who's interested to go to our website and really check out our core values, because this is what has to line up. Like we have to drink your Kool-Aid and you have to drink our Kool-Aid for the magic to happen. And so when it comes to mission commitment and, creative innovation and all these things that we do, we want the dealer to be as excited about what we do. And if they're not, then, that's okay. We don't, maybe the timing isn't right or whatever, but we want clients that want to be our clients, and because we want to overservice them throughout their journey with us. So definitely check out our core values. And then if that makes sense, submit a form on our website, but reach out to me directly if you like. We'd be happy to take the call.
And if I can add, that speaks volumes, because one of the big topics we've been talking about for some time is culture at a company. And the dealership culture, it seems, starts at the top, right? And, we've talked about retaining technicians, retaining employees at a time when it's hard to find new employees. It all starts with that culture. And Dom360, you've instilled that culture with those core values. And I think for our audience, which are a lot of early adopters and people who want to do things the right way, that speaks volumes.
Well, one of the neat things is we've seen, dealers re-engage during COVID, or maybe it's, the next in line, the heir apparent to the dealership who's now in their 40s or whatever, and they're ready to, make amazing changes, and they're engaged. And that engagement is so much better than being an absentee dealer and installing a general manager. So what we've seen in the marketplace is we've seen more hyper engagement from younger dealers or dealers in general. And that interaction is exactly what's needed right now. So.
Wow. Great message, everybody. Dom 360, a fresh perspective here today at the Fixed Ops Roundtable. Robert, I want to thank you for all you do for the industry. I know you have some great things coming, and I'm excited to see those and help share those. And I want to wish you and your family a happy Thanksgiving as well.
Happy Thanksgiving to you too, Ted. Thank you so much for having us.
Robert Donovan, everybody, the CEO and founder of Dom 360, here today at the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Thank you.
We come up with creative ideas and deploy them digitally and traditionally. So that's exciting because it's a fully integrated approach, and there's not a lot of companies that have the creativity and the digital and traditional, and that's what sets us apart. So we ran this pilot for about 90 days, and we spent about $50,000 on paid digital media, which yielded the client over $500,000. That campaign has still been running and has yielded even more money for our client. It's continued to be a success. It continues to run without a hitch. And it really speaks to the collaboration that needs to exist to make that whole value prop successful. We have great people that do great things, and that's Dom 360, and it's always been that way. It's never been about the tech or the shiny object or whatever. It's always been about the people. There's many pretenders. There's no one quite like us.
Our next panel is all about effective service advisor training with John Fairchild, Tully Williams, and Shon Kingrey.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. John Fairchild has over 42 years of automotive fixed operations management and consulting experience, and John has come upon an inevitable conclusion. Guests in the marketplace are starving for professional attention anywhere you go. Today, John is leading an all-star discussion that includes Tully Williams and Shon Kingrey. Gentlemen, welcome to the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Thank you, Ted. That's so true, Ted, that people in the marketplace, anywhere you go, not just a car dealership, are starving for professional attention. That is indeed a fact. And, I did ask a couple of close associates and people that I know in the field to come on and let's talk about how we can do our part to be a stellar customer service element in a world that is so dull. And what are some of the effective service advisor and service manager training methodologies? And so I got a couple, like you said, of the experts here. And I think they've got some great ideas, and I want to kind of bounce it back and forth, Ted.
So, John, what I'm going to do, since I see you everywhere, you're at the Pinnacle Training Center in Atlanta, you're in dealership working with Tully, with Shon, and since they are very esteemed colleagues of ours and of the Roundtable, I'm going to step out of the way and let you have this discussion with them, and I'll come back at the end. So if it's okay, gentlemen, I'll let you take it away.
Thanks, Ted. Thank you so much for hosting this. He's dynamite. Yeah, and so I think that that there is a really real need for effective service advisor training, particularly out there in the retail world, and these guys do it dynamitely. And I wanted to, if that's a word, and I wanted to kind of ask you guys what are the effective elements in service advisor training in general. And, pointedly, maybe I could just ask you guys to both talk about what's better. I always get the rub, and I do both. Is being on site better or being in the classroom? What gives the best results in that regard, Tully?
Well, here's the way I see it. First off is, does your group support training at your facility? And if you do not, don't hire John Fairchild. The issue is that we have to have the culture in your store to grow, to learn, and ultimately drive more money for them and their families. You have to have that culture first. The next piece is classroom training is a must. In-store training, in-store, in the driveway, does not work. The distractions are too great. Do we want John in the driveway to look? Absolutely. But the training happens in the classroom environment. Don't make it long. Keep those short, 2 to 3 hours. We have set up a structure, John, as for us, 2 hours once a month. And it has been the best. We get in and get out. We get a couple great nuggets. So when they come back, guess what? Results happen, and they say, wow, that worked. What a result.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, Tully. Shon, I guess same question to you. What elements about advisor training do you see is the on-site better for, and what elements is the classroom better for?
And I'm going to feed off of Tully, because Tully and I are so on the same page on everything that we do. It does start from the top. It's no different than any program you bring in, whether it's a Y advisor or a text to drive or whatever the tool is. If it doesn't get supported by upper management, it's going to fail every time. It's going to end in the top right-hand desk drawer. The door is going to close and you're never going to use it again. And we all know it's true because we've all seen it fail. But to Tully's point, I agree. Yes, you need service on drive training. You need walk around. That's their environment. You have to make them comfortable in that environment so they do it naturally when the customer's there. But it's too easy to walk away from the phone call. It's too easy to walk away from the guest that's staying there waiting. It has to happen in a classroom, off-site. There's got to be role play. It's got to be a little uncomfortable. And for those that don't know John, guys, John is a role play expert. He's good at it. That is his expertise. He can do role play like nobody else loves to do. And then you got to get them off site, like I said, and like Tully said, you got to get them into an environment that amongst their peers, they can talk, they can learn, they can share ideas. 20 groups, we talk about 20 groups, we talk about NADA and MCM and all of it. But in a 20 group, you get to feed off of each other. You get ideas off each other. You get what works. What I get off of you, John, and Tully, and Ed Roberts, and Sarah, and Ted, and everybody is ideas that you can take to the drive that work. And this is what works. You got to get them off site. John, I know your classroom in Atlanta has been a big hit. Guys, it gets them away from the dealership environment. It gets them into an environment they're not comfortable with. And that's okay. I know Tully has a classroom environment in his store. It gets them off the drive. It gets them away from that customer that's pulling at them, or the other advisor or the technician. Hey, just sell my job yet. I love it. I love getting them off site, John.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And, as far as what I've really feel makes any kind of training sticky is what I call a cadence of accountability. So the accountability features of service advisor training involve the management, obviously. And I want you guys to share your best practices of how you keep your managers involved in the training of their service advisors, because you guys know better than me that if any kind of training, any kind of any type of information feed if it's not followed up on, if it's not make sure it's being implemented, then it's not worth a hill of beans. So give me some thoughts, Shon, on what you feel like are some good ways to attribute what I call a cadence of accountability in your service department.
I think there's twofold to that. I think the first thing is the manager's got to be involved in the training too, right along with the advisor. It isn't, I'm going to send them to training. No, they got to be part of it. They have to go through the same training. They have to know if they aren't practicing what they're preaching or they're not preaching what they're practicing, it's never going to work. So I'll start there. And then daily accountability. You have to let the advisors know that daily you're tracking their results. The techs need to know you're tracking their results. Quite frankly, the car porters need to know you're tracking their results. Everybody's got to know along the way.
Amen.
So again, it all starts with the management and it works all the way down from there.
Tully, I know you got some good words about creating a cadence and accountability and kind of a mastermind at it as well. So give us some nuggets.
Well, Shon is spot on. If your managers are not in the class, if your general manager is not in the class, is your dealer showing up and supporting the class, it won't work. It will not work. It must be all in. And we have to make it fun. It can't be stupid and boring. It has to be exciting. Because here's the deal. We're taking them out of their environment into a classroom. They're already going to start getting weird on you. Right? And the whole point of it is that we're going to show, we want to show you how to sell better. We want to show you how to treat the customer better. We want to show you how to sell more great technician recommendations that I'd sell my family members. We want to show you how to do better repeat and referral business. And guess what happens? They all make more money for them and their families, and the customers are happier. Oh my God, what a concept. It starts with great training. Then we show them the results. As you see behind me, the TV's in the back. We push it out daily, hourly, minutely. Look at what you are doing. Congratulations. Don't make it a negative. Make it a positive. Show the green. Show same-day selling is up. Discounts are down. CSI is up. That is the winning ticket.
Yeah. I am feeding off your passion, Tully, because what you guys are experiencing over there really is working level. And let's just also say your dealership group was already performing at a super high level, super high. So you've just gotten the cream on the top of it. That's awesome. So I'd like to also kind of focus while we got a few more minutes, guys. Are some of the best techniques you mentioned? Both of y'all mentioned role play and video role play, and you also mentioned. Tell us a few minutes about what you've done, and Shon as well. We've done that with your huge payout. So each of y'all take a turn and let us know how to make that element of it effective.
I'll start. We had a great results. As you know, John, we had two huge contests. First was our service writer, and then we had our service technician. One is that when we had a service writer contest, do you want to make service writers uncomfortable? Have them do role play. They are, oh my God, that's for the sales department. We don't do that here. Absolutely incorrect. Are you going to make it fun? Make it fun, and also make it a contest. Oh my God, what a concept. $1,000 winner for the top one. John got to pick the right contest. We had 100%. Again, 100%. 100% of the people turned them in. We had 65 videos. The old goal is then we got to show the top 5 or top 10. I forget which one it was. But the whole point of it is that we made them feel good. We showed them the success of how they were asking and talking to their customer. We turned it out to be a huge win. Yes, and some people got into it more than others, but the whole point of it is we made it fun, and that is the trick. Then we went down to the service. We went down to the technicians, and we just finished that up last week, the technician one. We had huge amount of submissions. We had over 75 submissions that we looked at. The great thing is the top 10. The number one video got $2,000. Why? How important?
That makes it fun.
It does. And how important is it to have the best video sent your customer? The reason we do the contest is to expose what's happening at your store. Show them what's happening. Show them what the customer's getting. And do videos sell repair? Do videos sell hours? Absolutely, 1,000%.
And I loved that element of Shon during the classroom training that we did with your group contest. So we actually filmed the walk around in each one, and tell us about some of the benefits of that.
So what we did, guys, is we took our service advisor staff, and it was 100% participation. It wasn't an option. Managers, writers, they all had to be there. Okay. We took them off-site to an off-site facility. Sure, we fed them. We did the donuts and of course, the pizza thing. Guys, it was off-site. The uncomfortable part was it was outside. And by the way, it was raining. The environment was completely uncomfortable. And we did that on purpose, though. It all played out perfectly. It's raining outside. They got to do a walk around, and they all stood outside. And as we filmed it, and we all recorded it, and we played it over. And totally, we literally, and John did a good job checking IP addresses, by the way. We made them vote on themselves. And we did the $1,000 giveaway. And I'm going to tell you what, the day of the deadline, the emails were nonstop. Do we have a winner yet? Do we have a winner yet? Do we have a winner yet? They all cared. And Tully, kudos to you for doing the technician thing. I think that's awesome. Taking it to the next level, taking it back to the shop is perfect. But the advisors fed off of it. They liked it so much, we did it again. And by the way, the difference between the first one and the second one, monumental. Because they learned from themselves. Because they watched themselves. It's okay, guys. We all have these things right here. We all have the cell phones, guys. Record them. It takes nothing. Show it to them. Yeah. Nobody wants to be on the bottom. I promise you, the guy that was down here is right up here the next time. Every single time.
Can I let me just chime in on my good friend Shon there. I think that when you start this revolution, we start about these videos. We talk about how fun it was. Like Shon turned it into a massive contest and fun, as I did. The next thing is the technicians. The next one's going to be the walk around. The next one's going to be this video. The next one's going to be this video. And guess what happens? What's the next video so I can get working on that, right? The whole point of it is that it's going to turn into a great learning experience. And this is what John Fairchild has done for us. We didn't do videos before John came. I'm like, videos, walk arounds? Our writers don't do that. Well, of course they do. And then guess what? We're turning it out to have a lot of fun. So I think the target is get out of your comfort zone. Take them into a classroom. Get them to learn. And guess what? They're going to thrive on that learning.
Tully, if I can follow up.
Please do, Ted.
Tully, how difficult was it to get a hold of John Fairchild and schedule him for your store? Walk us through that process as a dealer or a manager watching today. How did you go about getting this thing scheduled?
Well, here's how it started. My good friend Ted Ings is I saw John Fairchild and Shon on a Ted Ings Roundtable video. I respect Shon very much. I said, Shon, is this Fairchild guy a good guy? And of course, it took him like a half an hour to stop talking about how good John Fairchild was. I called up John Fairchild and says, bro, you need to come out and talk to me about some training. He flew out. We set it up. We wrote the check. Haven't looked back since. So, Mr. Teddings, it was incredibly easy. John has been thorough. He has been great. Our customers, our service advisors, our service managers and GMs enjoy the training. We've had great success. As I tell John this, this is where I'm holding John accountable. If my same-day selling is not risen and my discounts are not lower, you will not be coming back. And guess what? We are at the highest same-day selling ever, and our discounts are falling. God bless John Fairchild.
So, John, if our audience reaches out to you to schedule this training, how far out are you going to be scheduling? Is it, can you come in tomorrow, next week? How soon?
It's a little bit of a tricky question, but I've got support staff as well, and so we make it easy, and we can generally schedule. It's good for you. So I appreciate the plug, and I can definitely. I'm looking for that really want to take it from the top down and embed it into their culture. And I think a lot of training also aims to shove it all at you at once where there's no chance of digesting it. And we got to take each piece and chew it up and digest it and make it a part of our culture. And that's when the old saying, we've always done it this way, becomes a good thing, because you're now doing it the right way.
Shon,
so,
what's
thanks
the
for
best
your time, everybody?
Shon, what's the best way for our audience to get a hold of John Fairchild?
You listen, if you email or John, I can tell you this. John and I and Tully and all of us kind of the same. John and I last night at 10:30 at night, we're literally talking on the phone. Guys, reach out to John. John's always responsive to email, text message, phone calls. I can tell you this. John and I have had a 3-year relationship. It's a relationship it's a professional. It's become personal. It's a very intimate relationship. He knows the good, the bad, the ugly of me, and I know the good, the bad, ugly of him. If you reach out to John, John is going to reach back out to you. I can promise you. You will. I've never once can say I'm sorry for anything we've done with John Fairchild, ever.
John, I see a phone number scrolling across the bottom. Is that your cell?
Yeah, that is my cell. It's 770-561-4644. Text me and I'll get back to you ASAP. If I don't answer, I'm with a client or I'm in a training session, and I will definitely get back to you ASAP. Thanks, you guys.
And Tully and Shon, if our audience needs somehow to reach out to you for a reference, are you okay? I'm assuming and giving the blessing on John.
As you know, Ted, 24/7. I know Tully's the same way. We both are.
Amen.
Right. Gentlemen, thank you so much today. Enlightening, and I can vouch and attest that role play and the video role play is super effective, and have your advisors a little uncomfortable.
Fun. It's you know what? At first it does, but after the ice breaks, you start getting some traction.
They love it.
You know, that's the beautiful thing about it is people who didn't think they liked the role play are all of a sudden they're pretty decent at it. Like Miss Van Zant over at the Porsche store. She didn't want to role play. She won the contest. She was like, so yeah, it's pretty fun. So thanks, guys.
John Fairchild here today with Tully Williams and Shon Kingrey, the Effective Service Advisor Training Panel at the Fixed Ops Roundtable. Call John Fairchild.
With the current automotive sales and supply chains uncertain and unreliable, there is a more sustainable way to meet and exceed the goals and profitability your dealership is aiming for. The answer? Fixed Ops. A shift in dealership operations has occurred, giving the service and parts department enormous profit opportunities, eclipsing vehicle sales revenue. Introducing Update Promise. Our innovation, your solution. Update Promise has the solutions to bring your fixed operations to their most efficient and profitable potential. Offering an all-in-one state-of-the-art product that combines online appointment scheduling, tablet vehicle check-in, AI-driven communication with status updates utilizing text messaging, multi-point inspections with video and photos, mobile payments, plus so much more.
Well, there's a few different aspects. One thing that's tough is finding a tool that could do all the customer experience things like, wow, I can schedule online, I could do a mobile check-in on the service drive, I have a digital multi-point inspection, I could actually do videos and pictures.
At Update Promise, we recognize dealership operations are just as manufacturer-driven as they are customer-driven. So in order to be successful, we start with a customer-centric approach to build consumer confidence. We do this by shifting behaviors and technology to better connect dealerships to their customers, giving them an elevated experience beyond a birthday card or a phone call. Update Promise makes it simple and easy for the store to communicate with the customer, which provides an upfront, transparent transaction that is completely new to the service department.
I think since we've implemented Update Promise, I think it's really just streamlined the process and has made it super transparent, and it's easy to talk to your customer, talk to your technicians, and just overall have better communication instantly versus having to wait. You can text someone, call them. I mean, it's just a lot easier and it streamlines the whole process.
Would you like to worry less about customer-related and dealership issues and spend more time managing and improving your team instead? Is your department experiencing wasted time on admin work or technical issues rather than work you really need to get done? With the Update Promise solutions, we help make it happen.
we all look at these projects together and we want to make sure that we are all on the same page, because if we don't believe in it, our employees won't believe in it. So we want to get everybody on the same platform so we can be the most efficient as possible.
In an ideal world, this sounds perfect, but you probably want to know what results you can expect. With Update Promise, your goals can be attainable. Dealers who have implemented Update Promise have seen some tremendous early results, like in the first 5 months of the dealership adopting Update Promise, they saw appointment no-shows decrease from 21% to 9%, multi-point inspections sent to customers from about 2% to 100%. Total upsell dollars increased from 22% to 53%. Plus, in the first 5 months after initial training, the dealership employee utilization and adoption rates increased over 50%.
It's affected it a great deal. It could be a hidden net profit to you, because the way I look at it, you can never really measure employee satisfaction. And when I have happy employees, I'll always have happy customers. And that's a great benefit right there.
Results like that, along with the time and cost savings, Update Promise can be that game changer you've been looking for in your fixed ops approach.
We're able to actually track, hey, how many promises were actually served up to the technician? A promise is a multi-point inspection. And then we're able to track how many did they actually close? And then how many of those actually had media? How much of that media actually made it to the customer? How much of that media was actually opened and received by the customer? Well, that is powerful.
Visit updatepromise.com or speak to one of our consumer experience experts and find out how easy it is to start your service center on the path of maximum profitability. Update Promise. Save time, save money, improve bottom line.
Kids, they're just different than us. They have no inhibitions, consider silverware optional, and are way more flexible. And when kids get really sick, they're different than us too. That's why over 3 years ago, we dared to dream bigger when it comes to treating young people. Rethinking existing approaches that were causing devastating short-term complications and lifelong side effects. We created a children's initiative with the goal of transforming treatment and care through advocacy, education, and the largest global clinical trial for kids with blood cancer. It's a giant leap for little patients. For the first time, a specific treatment can be matched to a specific type of cancer in a specific child. We want to inspire more and more people to aim higher and think differently about children's blood cancer. So starting now, the Children's Initiative will be known as the Dare to Dream Project, expanding our efforts beyond families directly impacted by blood cancer to tell a much bigger story to a much broader audience. A simple message that kids are different, and finally, their cancer treatment will be too. It's a global effort that invites others to dare to dream with us as we work to raise $175 million. What started as an idea is becoming a movement, proven that amazing things happen if we just dare to dream. The Dare to Dream Project from the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, transforming treatment and care for kids with blood cancer.
Ready to sweep cancer off its feet? Make sure to scan the QR code on the screen or go to fixedopscares.org and donate to the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. Orbee is here to give us an insight on how our industry can improve online service scheduling in our upcoming panel.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. At our last event, we started a conversation with Brian Davis at Orbee and Ed Roberts of Bozard Ford, Lincoln, about the service scheduler process and what happens when a customer cannot complete it. I want to introduce our panel today. I mentioned both Brian and Ed. Some panelists we have with us today are Jeff Revilla from the Smail Automotive Group, Robert Miggs from CMA, Valley Chrysler Dodge Jeep, and Terrell from Matt Bowers Chevrolet. So, gentlemen, welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. Brian, if you don't mind, I'll come to you kind of to start things off.
Sure.
You recently did a white paper at Orbee on service schedule abandonment. What are some of the things you found after analyzing that at about 50 plus dealerships across the country?
Hey, Ted, thanks. Yeah, it's actually about 72 dealerships now. We're just finding a lot of commonalities, that there are some things that we need to do with customer experience, right? So what does our service look like when we aren't in front of our customers, and how do we do a better job with that? So what we really found, and this shouldn't be a surprise to anybody who's listening in and watching, is that customers don't get the level of service that they tend to expect with an online service scheduler. And so we were able to uncover a lot of the differences and expectations versus experiences, and gave a couple of pointers in that white paper that we published about what you might do to start, improving based upon the baseline data that we provided.
This has got to be the first time, Brian, that I've seen somebody study it on this scale. So I'm really excited about our panel today. Ed, let me come to you. You were on our last panel with Brian just 2 months ago. Ed, what happens when a service customer, either a prospective or an existing customer, can't successfully make an online appointment on the website?
Well, I'll tell you what the journey they're going on. They're telling us when they come there to make an appointment that they have a need. And then for whatever reason, if they abandon it, that something didn't work out and they don't make that appointment, they end up going to a competitor. And we're not in the world, in the dealership world, we're not here to figure out all the analytics of the website and all that kind of stuff. That's not what we do. So we need guys like Brian to come in and say, hey, these guys are abandoning the website at this point so that we can go in and make adjustments or do whatever we have to do. Because the last thing I want to do is send our prospective customer that came to my website to set an appointment in my digital service department, and then all of a sudden he has to abandon it because something didn't go right or something didn't happen or it didn't work out. And so I need that data so that I can capture our business.
Wow. And Ed, this digital part of the process now is so critical and vital to everything that you're doing back at the retailer store.
Well, it's just like walking out in the service drive. Those are your customers that showed up in person, but we also have the digital service drive, and the digital service drive is the ones that's on our website in our digital showroom. And we got to make sure that we're taking care of those customers as well.
Darryl, what do you think? What happens when a customer, either new or existing customer, can't go all the way through on that service scheduler online at your dealership?
I believe it creates a frustration. A lot of customers, they like to have a simple process, something that they could relatively, make and book appointment quickly. So I think that Brian, your company Orbee, offers a great information and feedback and resources to help make adjustments and make a process where it's simple for our customers to keep our customers coming back.
I think you're right, Darryl. I think it's refreshing, right, that we're talking about this, right, rather than and looking for solutions. Robert, over at Carter Myers, customer comes on the website at your dealership or somewhere else in the CMA platform. What happens when they can't get through and make an appointment online?
The realization is if they can't make an appointment online, like Darryl and Ed said, we're just frustrating them. We're sending them around in circles. Those good customers are going to call us possibly. We hope. We don't know those things. So, I think Ed put a great point out there that we don't really study and analyze this on our side of the world very much. We're very much the live person in front of a situation, and we push for appointments to come and show up and make sure they're getting here. But at the end of the day, it's very few times we're going to see that the person defecting from that is really going to be willing to pick up the phone to call us if it's that cumbersome and too much of an issue to deal with booking an appointment.
And Jeff, I know that your organization has been working on this for a while, and I imagine, Jeff, this is not just on my laptop or desktop. This is on my mobile phone as well when I'm looking to make that appointment.
Yeah, when you look at the data, it's insane. We used to use CDK Drive. That may be converted at 6 to 10%. You have something like X time, you might get 25, 30%. So there's still this disconnect because I don't think people end up on the service scheduler on accident. Nobody's going to a car dealer and accidentally getting there. And you're saying the best I can do is 20 to 30% with all this technology. And all this technology is then iframe. So it's not even like it exists on your website. It's another website in your website. So as the dealer, you're not privileged to what's actually happening. That data just isn't available there for you. So when they can't do it, they either abandon. We'll see phone calls and we'll see chats as well, but that's not what they wanted to do. They had to do something else now because we couldn't convert with a great scheduling process.
And Jeff, I know you've looked at it for some time. It's got to be frustrating, for you as well. Those numbers are shocking that you just shared with us.
Yeah, we've been doing that. I've been looking at that for a while, mainly because we were with CDK and it was atrocious. And we had a couple dealers that were required to use Xtime because of the OEM. And we're looking at a 5 times conversion rate. We're like, I get it. We get CDK because we have the DMS, we have eLead, so they bundle all this stuff together. But you could literally 6 extra appointments online just by switching to Xtime. But even by going to Xtime, you're still missing out on 75%. You still have 75% abandonment as a good case scenario. So we have a problem.
Brian, Orbee's identified that problem and you've been studying it. Kind of take us through that, if you don't mind.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're very, very Switzerland in this case. We work with everybody, and we kind of have to be. Every dealership, every OEM brings forth their own solution set to the table in many cases, as Jeff alluded to. And this isn't about who's worst or who's best. I think it all leaves something to be desired. There's no such thing as a perfect process. So in the case with working closely with Jeff and his store's data, with relationship to his website itself, and then also the website within the website that he's talking about, really the core where we got the data that we were able to pull into that white paper as a very, very 30,000 foot summary was that people are falling out at certain points in the process and the dealer doesn't know about it. So that turned into, okay, what now, right? That's the common question when we look at a dashboard. What now? What can I do to make my store better, to affect my net, if I'm paid that way, and to make my advisors more money and get my techs happier and my customers, heaven forbid we serve the customer. We're starting to take this data and do some very interesting things with it. But before we get to that, what's really important to understand is with that lack of transparency, right, with the data, many vendors kind of point to, well, if you had the data, what would you do with it? We have to provide this data in a way where you can affect it positively. And the thing is, we're not getting the customer information out of the service schedulers. Even if the customer enters their name, email, phone number really early in the game, if they're part of that 75, 80% of people that don't make it all the way through, the vendor may have the customer's data, but that data was entered on our websites. So there's a boilerplate challenge of, hey, whose data is it? But beyond all of that, we have to get more information and bring it forward. So what we're talking about here is, how do we take this mismatch of who owns the data and what are we going to try to do with it, and how do we bring that together? And something that Jeff had really figured out early on, and what we had brought to the table, was we got to know who these people are when they're on our sites, so that we can use our intelligence and our people to take action based on what we find out about them. And that's where the term identity resolution kind of comes into play with all of this. But I think we'll talk about that a little bit more in a second.
Jeff, I got to ask you, going back to what Brian just said, how have you tried, or how has your dealer organization tried to use that website data, in ways, let's say, to improve the customer experience?
Yeah, before Orbee, the best I could do was how many people went to my scheduler page from Google Analytics and how many online appointments did I get, and I can get a ratio. With Orbee, one of the things we're able to do is, because we're using Xtime across the board, there's 5 to 6 stages to go through Xtime. There's, you start, you put in your vehicle, then you select the time, you select the service, do you need a shuttle, and then you book the appointment. But with Xtime, until you book the appointment, you don't know who the customer is, but the customer may have entered that data on steps 1, 2, and 3. So now that we can segment and get X time to pass back these steps to Orbee, they're able to say, okay, somebody completed step 1, but not 2 through 5, or somebody completed up to step 4, but the most important one, not step 5. So all those step 1 through 4s, I can organize into audiences, right? Because now I know these people went to my page, but they didn't complete an online scheduler. So now that 70% of people that didn't schedule, I have a nice little remarketing bucket of audience that I can start to say, hey, I have, maybe it's, I can, and it gets even crazier. So there's people that I can now target because they didn't complete, but I also have data from my CRM, and I have people who maybe are lapsed service. They haven't serviced in a year, 18 months. I can start to overlay some of this data through email marketing and identifying who these sessions are. And it starts to get a little, I don't know if you're going to say a little weird, but once you start to identify, and the number one way to identify people is through website traffic, through email marketing. And then you start to put them into the service scheduler. I can start to see who's completing these steps. Now I'm putting these two audiences together, and I'm able to get a really fine-tuned marketing campaign built out of service abandonment.
Yeah, let me add a little something there. What we're talking about, and this gets very granular and very like into the rabbit hole pretty quickly. What Jeff's really talking about is how our system can identify your customers so that you know who fell off of the process, who abandoned during appointment time selection, or who abandoned when they were supposed to select what service they had. And you can then reach back out to these unique shoppers, okay, via email or via retargeting or what have you, to say, did you not know what your car needed? Are you confused about what the light on your dashboard means? Or did you not find a time that worked for you, Ed? Ed, you know all about that one. You're 5 weeks out, brother. Hopefully that's getting better for you. But you can really start to not just push people back to the same process they fell out of before, which is about how far we got prior. Now you can really say, I know what problem you had and I'm here to solve it. Sorry, that wasn't as great as it could have been, but we're here for you. And you can do that before they have a chance to go make an appointment somewhere else, because the data is pretty close to real time. It's really exciting, the opportunity that gives you. Hopefully that makes sense, guys.
Ed, it sounds like this is a pretty big bucket of opportunity of customers.
Well, these guys talked about a lot of things that makes, I mean, look at, we try to drive more traffic in, we spend money on marketing campaigns, and then we come back and say, well, it didn't work. Well, we don't know whether it worked or not, because we don't know who abandoned it, who came on, who did whatever. This is a key element to what drives business into our stores, and it's a key element to what drives business to other stores around us. And it's key for us to know who abandoned us, and it's key to try to figure out the elements of why, so that we can fix that. Because I think Robert touched on earlier, it has to be simple. And a lot of times we want to put too much information out there on the scheduler and ask this question and ask that question and if this and if that and if the other. They get tired of going through all those elements. And this data shows that. We got to make it simple. If they can't set an appointment in 3 to 4 clicks, or get to where they can choose a time in 3 to 4 clicks, then we're forcing them out. And without having this data, you can assume that, yes, I have a scheduler. You can check the box. But this isn't something that we would normally look at. So we have to have great business partners like Brian to come in and say, okay, here's how much traffic you have. Here's your conversion ratio. Let's figure out why and where we're losing people. And then when you can do that, then you can truly measure the effectiveness of your service marketing pieces.
Darryl, I would have to agree with what Ed says. This is not something we would traditionally take a look at the dealership, but he's right. We're spending all this money, to market to customers, to, be able to do that online. And if a great number of customers are abandoning that service scheduler in the process, that's a disconnect, Darryl. You're on mute. Sorry.
Yes, I definitely agree with Ed, and I really like the what Orbee offers, because without tracking, you really don't know where you're losing your customers in the business. And I see for the month of July, 23% of our customers they stop and they during appointments. I'm sorry, during July, 23% of our customers they stopped during the appointment process. So taking that information, you could pretty much find out, whether a time frame issue where you have to staff up more. Maybe you go offer mobile services where the appointment time that you had available wasn't right for the customer. And you can really dissect and dig into exactly why your customer deflected for that appointment time frame.
And I don't know that, Robert, we've even been, asking our customers or thinking, about that as, how effective our service scheduler has been. And again, CMA, you've got a lot of dealerships with a lot of service scheduling opportunities.
And we just had a directors meeting for our service departments, and this was kind of a key topic situation in what we were discussing in regards to taking care of the customer and how easy the scheduler is to use. And the realization is, we can back out the customer side, we can back into the dealer level. How many more phone calls can this create for the advisors and our BDC that could be doing outbound calls or touching base with customers and following up? At the same point, if we make it such a difficult situation, difficult problem, it affects every aspect of our business back there, both sales and service, and it's kind of full circle on us.
And I'm thinking just the average RO, Brian, and then, multiplying out by all these customers.
Yeah.
You mentioned identity resolution.
Yes, sir.
Identify that, if you wouldn't mind, for us.
Well, I'll make it easy. It's knowing who your customers are as they are. If somebody walked in the door of your dealership, you wouldn't go without saying, "Hey, how are you? What's your name? I'm such and such." And on the website, we have a little bit more privacy and a little more anonymity for the customer. And we don't want to go in and push them away by being, exerting ourselves on them too much. But when you think about your service customers, people who are out on your website trying to transact with you at the end of the day, heck, if they could do it all on your website, they could, including getting their car serviced. So these people aren't afraid to tell you who they are and what they need. Okay. And then you think about what Jeff was saying with his CRM data of his customer base and those big DMS databases. That stuff is gold. But guys, the challenge is, and ladies out there, you're sending customers notifications. You're texting them, emailing them, doing all of these outbound engagements. But that engagement's not giving you anything back. And what you can get back, what Jeff and his team gets back from the Orbee team, is when someone engages with your email or with, even with your text messages and things like that, whatever device they're on has an identity. And when we bring them back to our scheduler, back to our website to do all of the things that they can do online, we should be picking up a little glimmer of information. We should be saying, "Oh, well, this is Ed. And he clicked on the email, it came back. Oh, he's on a new phone. Cool. I should be able to put that in with the other records I have for Ed. And now I know when Ed's on my site, not so that I can sneak around and understand what all Ed's interested in, but so that I can provide him with service that he's looking for, because we haven't quite made it easy enough yet. 10 years from now, it's going to be completely different. But right now, you have an opportunity to leverage a system that can pay you back on your own data. I like to think of it as, residual interest and compounding interest of the data you already have. To know who people are, just so that you can do a better job by them and keep them coming back to your business. That's what we think about identity resolution as a value proposition for dealerships. Is that
makes a lot of sense? Now,
okay.
Jeff, at your organization, are you able to leverage that now and utilize that?
Yeah, it's become my number one metric. I'm looking at ways to look at total visitors. And if, like Brian said, every visitor who comes to the site, whether we know who they are or not at that time, they leave a little trail and we identify that device that they're on. If somehow they put a lead in and then now we have a name and an email, well, now all that behavior from that device that submitted the lead, now we can track that back to how they got there, what they did, what they looked at, the pages that they looked at. We've matched that identity to the customer. And when I do an email campaign on that instance, I know who the customer is already, but I don't know what their online behavior is. So when I send that email, all those little links in the email have little tags on them. And when that tag is triggered, whatever website or whatever behaviors they take on the website is now attached to that email, which is attached to that record. So now I can build it backwards too. So there's two ways which I'm doing to mapping the behaviors of the people on my website to the data in my CRM. And that's the key. That's the gold that we're mining. And that's what I've twisted my whole metrics to look at. How many total shoppers, how many of those shoppers, and Orbee by default out of the box is going to break down your traffic into sales, service, new and used, by make and model. Like by default, you're already organizing all this data into audiences and then mapping that to records in your CRM. That's where you step on the gas and it's go time then.
Wow. That's pretty sophisticated, Jeff, that you're doing that. Brian, I could just imagine multiplying the efforts, that Jeff's talking about at his dealership group, all across the country. This is a huge opportunity.
It's enormous. The early adopters are going to be the ones who feel the best about it. I think at the end of the day, certainly these types of technologies over time become a little bit more commoditized. Right now, we're at a point where so few people are focusing on who's there, what they're doing, how do I help? It's an immense opportunity. To take all of this seems a little complicated, and understand that. What we've been able to do, thanks to folks like Jeff and people who are willing to be, cutting edge with this and to spend a little bit more time to help develop it, to make it right. We've made it as simple as to, if you have a BDC, bringing them a report that's rolling on a rolling 7-day basis that says, here are the people that we know were trying to make an appointment and did not get that. You need to call those people. Okay. There's another huge chunk that we're still working to identify, and it gets better over time. But some of the dealers that have been with us 2, 3, 4 years and have been exercising this identity resolution, they know a giant percentage of their database. And they've been able to go in and actually fix the problems to reduce the need for this type of service. So, you fix it, it gets better, and then you're going to have another problem to hit, right? But it's really imperative right now that dealerships understand they need to own their customers' data and take care of it. When all the cookie stuff happens, and privacy is a major, major concern for dealerships very, very soon in the near future, the dealership has the right to their customers' data, and really nobody else does. And you need to protect it and you need to leverage it. And if you're not starting this now, well, when's it going to be a big enough problem, right? That's kind of how we're looking at it. But huge thanks to Jeff, not only for his patience as a great customer, but his amazing focus on what it is that we do and how to make it relevant for the dealers out there.
Ed, I like the fact that they're acting on this intelligence and helping us to get in touch with those customers.
Well, it's following the customer's journey through their website. And it's like Brian said, when customer shows up and you don't say hello to them or something, what do? They leave because they don't feel welcome there. And it's the same thing. They come to our website, they stumble, and we don't say anything to them, but they have that need. And it's our opportunity to chase after them. And then we talked about the percentages of conversion of what people come there to make an appointment, what it converts to. And there's some schedulers that is 5 times better than others. And the reason why it's 5 times better is because it's more convenient. It's easier to use. It's more intuitive. It's no different than going to Amazon and adding something to the cart or click the buy now. It meets you at your level. If you're ready to buy now, bam, it's done. It's on its way. If you want to add it to the cart and keep moving around, you can. So it's find a way to meet them at their level, but also go back and test your own websites. See how long it takes to schedule an appointment, because your time is just as important as our customers' time. And if it takes you too long to do it, imagine what you're forcing them through. And let's find ways to simplify it. Yeah. And then Brian can come in with the data to show you what that did for you. So look at it beforehand, look at it afterwards, and continue to work on it, get better, because converting at 25% is a 75% failure rate.
That's right.
We got to flip that around. We need it to be a 75% success rate, and at 25%, then we got a chance to remarket those, and we can kind of manage that size. But having a 75% abandonment rate, we are failing at chasing our customers down and meeting them at their level and bringing them back in.
And Brian, it would sound like that might be a first step, for a dealer or a fixed ops director like the ones we have here today to get on their own website and see what happens when they start to make an appointment.
Yeah, absolutely. There are a couple of things that we find that are very valuable, we obviously want to have that layer of data for you to help you with those things. But a couple of things that come to mind are absolutely get in your customer's shoes, right? And understand what it is they're going for, and do it from multiple devices, okay? And you're not going to be really happy with the result at first, but that's okay. And then from an internal perspective, what I advise you to do is understand first and foremost, okay, what data do I have from everything that the customer could touch, right? Just try to start taking an inventory. Probably a pretty small inventory, but that's okay. And the next piece of it, how many different systems are actually sending my customer communications? Got to get your head around that too, because we got to know what to pull back the reins on and pull in house and to centralize to get the, we got to know what's coming in, what's going out. So getting a perspective of those is kind of where people start to come to Orbee. And look, it's not just me. I've got a great team of technical people behind me and analysts and creatives who are going to be able to say, hey, you've got X, Y, and Z system, and you've got all of these things going out. Here's what we can do to narrow the focus for you and to turn you into a Jeff Revilla with the laser focus. I just really think take inventory of what's touching your customers and what your customers are touching. And also, live in their shoes for a minute and see, get your friends to do it. Would they be happy with it? Or what? And then ask them the question. This is key. Ed and I share a mutual contact, April Palmer. And I asked April, what's the next thing you would do if you failed this process? And she said, I'd Google oil change near me. Right. So ask people, what would you do if this failed? And don't think about me as the dealer. Halloween just happened. We've got Thanksgiving right here, and we've got holidays. Get with your friends, get with your family, and when you're seeing them with all these occasions and these holidays, ask them, right? What do you think about this? And what would you do if this was you? Right. And tell me the truth. Don't sugarcoat it now, and see what they say, just so you can understand the importance and really the opportunity. Don't get down about it. It's an opportunity to win.
Jeff, let's talk about that opportunity real quick. You've got all these customers now that you're able to identify and to go back to. Once a dealer or a fixed ops director or service director sees all that, what doors does that open now once you've got that valuable information?
Yeah, it really brings, I mentioned lap service. I think that's a huge opportunity for all of us. Everybody knows, hey, if I haven't got somebody in here in 12 to 18 months, that they need to come back in. How do we do that? So with the email campaigns, one of the things that you can do is you may send, say, 1,000 emails. And with Orbee, with a service campaign that's pretty targeted, you'll probably get 400 to 500 opens. You get like a 40%, 50% open rate. And of that, you might get another 100, 150 people who click through, right? Then from there, you can look at who booked your appointments. You can export that list of people who opened. They took some sort of engagement where they didn't do anything last week. Now that they've taken an action, you have probably 150, 200 people to give to the BDC. They can go through that list and reach out to those customers who didn't take action again, right? But we know who they are. They had some sort of interest. We can use that data to reach back out, and maybe these are the top 150 people we should be calling first before we call anybody else.
Darryl, one of the things I like about the Fixed Ops Roundtable, I'm always telling Ed, Darryl, is that we get a chance to see and hear about this new technology maybe before other people do, Darryl. And right now you and Robert are getting the chance to, and Ed, to experience some of that early on.
Yes, I definitely agree. And I think with Orbee, man, it definitely helps sum up the main objective is customer retention and just retaining customers and winning back your customers. So I think that, having this great technology to help us understand our customers and better provide service to our customers, I think it's a great win for everybody.
Our friend Tully Williams, Robert, says that we're in the repeat and referral business, and I can't think of any better way to start on that repeat and referral than right here.
Yeah, everything's been great today, and the honest point is, what's that customer feel like when they abandon the website, they abandon what they're doing, and we reach out to them and touch base with them? Just imagine the thought process that goes through a customer's head when they go, wait a minute, I stopped booking this appointment because I got lost and controlled, and they reached out and they took care of me. And you can probably see some twofold situations here where it's actually being beneficial in the growth of the retention for the fact that they see you so attentive to them. So great concept.
Brian, so if I'm a dealer or one of these gentlemen watching today, and I want to take action and reach out to you and see if I can get involved in this study, are you taking dealers on? How can somebody get on the playing field with this?
Yes, that's a strong yes. We are taking dealers on. But yeah, reach out to me. I've got a team that's here to help as well. And we will make sure that, you understand what it is we're going to do and the value we're going to provide. But start with me, brian.davis@orbee.com. Happy to share results from other customers. And we've got plenty of references and we'll treat you right and help you get down this path. It's really, really important.
Jeff, I'll give you the last word today because you're already using this. So,
oh boy.
Brian's nervous now.
Not a bit.
Oh, that was just an open-ended question. Last word. Like I said, it's a shift in your mindset. Orbee is great in the way that it's customizable. So my process is probably different than Ed's, for Robert's and Darryl's. It'll find the way that you want to use it, and you can adapt to it. And the change that I made was, what are the number of people that I'm identifying in a month? Who is doing what? That's kind of where I've been at. And so not demographics, not page views. I'm not looking at that. I'm just looking at identity resolution. And that's my North Star going forward.
All right. We'll leave it there, everybody. Thank you so much. Brian Davis said, Orbee, great technology, a great new subject here at the Fixed Ops Roundtable now. I want to thank the panel, Ed Roberts. I want to thank Jeff, Darryl, and Robert. And Brian, I want to wish you and everybody here, your families, a very happy Thanksgiving.
Likewise. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it.
Everybody, Brian Davis from Orbee with the panel here today at the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
What does Orbee do? Orbee centralizes all of the dealership's data into a customer data platform. Anywhere a shopper interacts with your dealership online, Orbee is there. From your website, CRM, service scheduler, trade-in tool, and more. So what can a dealership do with a customer data platform? You'll know exactly where a shopper is in their lifecycle journey, from trading in, buying, or servicing a vehicle. You can group shoppers into marketing segments based on their online activity. You'll be able to automate your marketing and advertising based on those journeys and segments. This all allows you to lower your overall marketing spend and increase your return on ad spend. And finally, a customer data platform can help keep a dealership compliant with data privacy regulations. Orbee. Data everything.
Everybody wants to be part of a bigger story. And to see something like this in such a big industry is a big accomplishment.
When I heard about Rapid Recon, I was like, man, that's ahead of its time.
Rapid Recon is the one software that unifies all the departments. You're going to go from chaos to organization.
The whole idea is to take 15 days average to get these cars ready to sell and take it down to 3 to 5.
It's live. You can log into Rapid Recon and see exactly where you are.
We're processing 2,500 cars a month. You need technology to make it more profitable.
And we know the pains that dealers are going through because we've lived it.
We get so much praise for our customer service, and it's because we genuinely care.
If you want to be as efficient as you possibly can, you absolutely should have Rapid Recon as your system.
We're changing this industry in a way that it's needed to change for a long time.
Do you sense the magic of hope in the air? Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable Dare to Dream event.
Take a moment now to scan the QR code on your screen to vote for the Best Practice Awards that will be announced at the end of the show. Remember, every vote counts, so make sure to vote for the 5 speakers or panelists whom you think are the best and brightest speakers on the Fixed Ops Roundtable. And don't forget, you can only vote once. Please welcome my colleagues, Justin Pomeroy and Angela Willoughby from Foundation Automotive. who are ready to talk about the analytics and KPIs behind fixed operations.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. Foundation Automotive has assembled an all-star executive management team with the perfect mix of operations specialists and analytical professionals. Foundation Auto is a growing automotive group here in the United States with 33 dealerships. They have 3 in Canada, and the company is looking forward to solid, well-planned growth all across North America. We are very honored today to welcome back Justin Pomeroy from Foundation Automotive. And today with us for the first time on the roundtable is Angela Willoughby. Justin and Angela, welcome to the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Hi.
Pleasure to be here. Thanks for having us, Ted.
Hey, we have, well, first of all, Angela, we've heard a lot about you and the stuff that you do with Foundation behind the scenes. And before we kind of get into that, Justin, you've been on the program many times. Kind of give us the landscape with Foundation, what you're doing, and what's happening. What are you overseeing, and give us the lay of the land.
We've got 33 rooftops in the United States, with an additional 3 in Canada. Quite a few coming up for closing here in the end of the year, and just trying to keep it all in front of us while maintaining everything behind us as well. Angela is a pro at keeping things in front of me. As we know, we're running really fast every day, and so she's a key integral part of my team on making sure anything that I may miss or anything that is needs to be addressed, as far as everything from the website links to operational statistics therein. I mean, she's really taken a lot of different hats and wears them weekly. She participates in all of our weekly warranty calls and KPA, as far as making sure that we're functional and doing it in the correct OSHA standards. And we're just basically back to back trying to keep it all together, And I've just recently added an additional gentleman by the name of John Smith to our team as well. He's up in the Dallas market and does a lot of traveling with me as well, while we continue to try to grow this company and make it #1 contender.
So, Justin, give us a little help with the geography. I know some of it. I probably don't know near all of it. Where are the stores located, and approximately, how many brands, or what are those brands?
I think we've got just about every brand now except Toyota. We've got some Hyundai stores in Colorado, a Hyundai store in Texas. We've got all your big 3, Ford, Dodge, and Chevrolet in Madisonville and Fairfield and Wichita Falls. Mitsubishi store here in the Houston market. We've got a Chevrolet and a Subaru in North Dakota, where all-wheel drives are a must. We've got just recently acquired a group of stores in Tennessee in the Savannah and Humboldt market, or if you call it Jackson, which are all GM, Nissan, Dodge, Ford as well, and then 3 CDJR stores up in the BC Squamish area.
And about how many employees?
You're looking at, technicians and advisors and parts countermen as well. I'd say 120 plus.
Mm-hmm. It's, your setup is, Angela, different than a lot of dealers or dealer groups. And Angela, you do a lot of unique things to support Foundation. Tell us a little bit about that, Angela, and what you do.
Well, I am our X-Time admin for the stores that have X-Time. So I handle that account. And then I handle a lot of our third-party vendors, just trying to maintain that relationship and make sure that our needs are being met, their needs are being met, and we're, all on the same page in that aspect. Some of the groups that I've been working with are changing their process based on the stuff that I've implemented with our group. So that's kind of neat to see. I'm all about efficiency. And I manage just kind of help with that relationship with our service directors and managers and make sure that, their needs are being met with Justin, and that they're performing. And, I'm just here to support Justin however I can. And then, of course, our fixed ops team, they know that they can reach out to me with whatever they need. yesterday's project was auditing our Castle Rock Ford website. And that is something that is near and dear to my heart, because I can't stand to go to a website and not be able to, go to where I want or find the information that I need. So it's imperative that, those types of things are up to par. I live and breathe data. I love it. I love being able to look at a spreadsheet, find the anomaly, and fix it. And I bring stuff to Justin all the time. I'm like, we have to fix this. And he's like, I don't know how, and so we're struggling to, find the fix for things. And it's such a great partnership that I have with Foundation and our team. And I thrive here for sure. I'm based out of Colorado, so I get to go see our Colorado stores when they need me and things like that. And it's been a really good relationship.
Angela, go back. Let's talk a little bit about that digital experience for the customer at Foundation. You mentioned the X-Time integration. How important is that digital experience for the customer, who's interacting, for service and parts with Foundation? And tell us a little bit about the background and maybe some of the things that you interact on a regular basis with the dealership managers as well.
So digital is key, right? We're in a digital age for sure. And I would say probably 75% of our clientele are using their cell phones or they're using computers. They're not really wanting to call, but if they do call, we are busy, and it is so difficult to stop taking care of the guest in front of you so you can take care of someone who's trying to come in for service. So that digital aspect is huge. And it's imperative that X-Time is running correctly and everything is set up properly. Like I review our websites for scheduling problems, quite frequently, and making sure that our guests can get in when they need to. And when they can't, I'm talking to the service manager. I'm like, hey, you don't have an appointment for a month. Like, how can we fix that? Because they're going to go somewhere else. And then you're playing that catch-up game to get that guest back. Like, how do we maintain retention, right? It's you build a brand and then you have to build the retention and the loyalty. And those are the key factors, right? So I think X-Time, scheduler integrates really well with our websites, and you can go to the website and you can, schedule your vehicle pretty seamlessly. And I think without those two pieces, some dealerships really struggle with getting the kind of clientele that they want in and how they maintain that loyalty, because maybe it's easier to schedule at the dealership 10 miles up the road. And yeah, that's 10 miles further that I have to drive, but I could get in tomorrow. So I think it's imperative that we are constantly reviewing our digital items and making sure that it works for the guest.
Justin, Angela mentioned the spreadsheets and things that she's tracking. I know that a lot of the stores that you've purchased, you've got, for lack of a better term, maybe in the beginning part, some heavy lifting, because it's relying on you to help those stores perform and now outperform other stores. So you've got to get a lot of things in place: personnel, people, process, and so on. What are some of the things that you're tracking on these spreadsheets that Angela is helping to put together?
Sure. In any acquisition, the plan is to do better than they've ever done before, right? That lift, that blue sky that you're looking for down the road, 3, 4, 5 years, earnings multiplied. That's the goal. So to come in and be able to flip a switch and say, hey, this is how you've done business historically, and we appreciate that. And there's a lot to be said about that. But what about this? And let's look at this. And what gets tracked and watched gets improved upon. And so in that we look at presentation of menus, we look at penetration of wearables, fluid cells that we have a national partnership with BG. We have a partnership with Dave Boyle, what those tread depth readers do for us, and who's presenting and who's not only presenting, because you can do a really good job at presenting, but who's closing, who's building that value, that transparency with the customer, and letting them know not only that they need it, but why and what importance that brings to the life of that vehicle, the cost of ownership, and so forth. So she does all that kind of stuff when it comes to, penetration reports, when it comes to the ability to do business with Foundation as a whole, and what that looks like as far as the websites go. we recently started trying Repair Pal and having that piece of transparency as well, that we're not, just a dealership. We're also a fair market competitor against anybody else in that market. So if you want to compare us, but by all means, please do so. I challenge you to, because I'm gonna be fair, and this is a for-profit business, but we want to make sure that we're competitive in all fronts.
I've heard you say that before, and Justin, are the stores, you mentioned, what's measured can get improved. Are they measured against each other? Are there, are they ranked in any way competitively? Tell us about that.
Some people don't like the fact that I do that, but I force rank everyone. Someone's always going to be in red. That doesn't mean you're bad. It just means, as a whole, and foundation goes, that someone's at the bottom, and that, that builds a little bit of friendly competition, and competition drives sales. I force rank them on gross per repair order, customer pay, hours sold. I mean, there's a lot of things that go into it. I try to keep it on fair for all. So, the higher volume stores have an equal swing as the low volume stores. And you'd be surprised, a lot of these low volume stores do a better job with their customers because they don't know when that next customer is coming through. And so each person that crosses that drive is extremely valuable to them. And it shows. You can do just as much with less when you take your time. You build that rapport. You show them the multi-point, and you sell from the green, and it's 100% of the time, every time. It definitely shows on RO value.
Angela, with all the things that you're tracking, you probably uncover things that were unexpected or maybe unintended. How important is what you do to Foundation as a whole, and then, of course, to the stores?
I would like to say that I'm extremely important and irreplaceable. I think it's important to be able to provide data and be able to measure it and provide them a stepping stone of where to go. Like, I never bring a problem without a resolution. Like, it's you have to have a way out of something, right? So it's easy for everybody to point the finger and say, oh, you're failing here. This is where you're failing. And I don't like to do that. I like to say, well, here's where you are. Here's where you could be. Here's what we can do to get there. And while I'm not, in the stores with, the managers on the ground floor, I do have the ability to provide that information to them, get it to Justin and John and say, hey, here's where I think this store could do better. And here's how I think we could get there. I'm all about improving processes, right? Because it's about the efficiency and making something better. And the reason that we measure data is to see if the processes that we are changing and putting into place, to see if it's effective. And so you're constantly doing that. Like, that never stops. It never sleeps. Like, you want to measure something and you want to improve upon it. And then you go back and you're going to measure it again. Wow. So I provide X time, measuring every single Monday. So every Monday it's where you are, and I will rank them based on their utilization of X time. And X time is such a great product, and it sells itself. And I absolutely love X time. And no, I'm not paid by X time. But I love their invite program with for marketing. Like, I'm huge in that. We do a campaign every month outside of our recurring campaigns. And we hit an all-time goal. My goal for marketing this year is $1 million of profit coming in. So we're almost there. And I'm excited for that because that's a personal goal of my own, and, based on my history with X time. And I love that fact. And I did want to say to Justin's point about force ranking and stuff, every dealership that we have has someone in our scope of business that they can compare themselves to. We have Hyundai stores that can compare themselves to same size and manufacturer and Kia and luxury brands. They all have someone that they can compare themselves to and figure out where they're excelling, where they're not. And it's that friendly little competition. We have some service directors who are like, oh yeah, no, I'm taking this one down. Like, I'm going to beat him, even if it's $1, right? They're excited for that $1. So I think that's key to being able to be successful with themselves and the goals that they set for themselves, because they want to beat, the one that they're being compared to. And I think that that's, a good little piece of friendly competition there.
Last question for today. See how quickly this flies by. I'll come to you, Justin, first, and then Angela. Here we are in November. We're halfway through. The holidays are right in front of us. What advice, Justin, first, would you have for our dealer and manager audience looking after the balance of this year and then into 23? Because Justin and Angela, you see things that others are not privy to. You're aware of things and trends that are happening. What should we be looking at? What should we be concerned about and focused on, for the next few, let's say up to 6 months to a year, Justin?
Well, I mean, September was weird, right? We're coming into November. Looking at the interest rates and stuff, the automobile sales side of things on variable fronts is it's a bit down. These interest rates have kind of driven down the buyers, and so I as usual, I'm happy to carry the weight on our backs and put it on us to take it through and carry the dealership as usual. That's what our whole purpose is just to cover the expenses of the dealership and make a little money on the side. And so I just hope everyone has a great holiday and is successful, and that that we're able to be there for our variable side of the dealerships in this market.
Yeah, it's a changing environment for sure. Angela, I'll give you the last word.
Don't take your foot off the gas.
Yeah.
We're seeing repair order numbers decline. Cox Automotive did a study back in the summer, June, July, I think they published, where we saw a 6% decrease in repair orders across the board nationwide. And that's not going away, right? But people are maintaining their vehicles longer. And it's less warranty because there's not as many new cars out there. So get your guest, your job is to make sure that they're safe on the road. That multi-point inspection is extremely valuable, but it's also how you eat, so retention, loyalty, and take care of our guests, and God, don't take your foot off the gas. Like, keep pushing.
Angela, I'm going to quote that throughout the roundtable. So don't take our foot off the gas. I love that. Angela, Willoughby, and Justin Pomeroy, on behalf of the Fixed Ops community, thank you so much for your time today. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your families, and we appreciate all you do for fixed operations, both.
Thank you, Ted. Thank you for all you do.
Thank you, Ted.
Angela Willoughby and Justin Pomeroy from Foundation Automotive here today at the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Up next are the experts from dealerlaw.com with the Retail Warranty Reimbursement Panel.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. There is an opportunity for our dealer audience to submit for retail warranty reimbursement, not just once, but whenever there is a substantial change in retail rates for either parts, labor, or both. Want to welcome back to our conference our good friends at dealerlaw.com. They are Ken Lohr and Keith Granger. They are the experts in retail warranty reimbursement. Ken and Keith, welcome to the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Thanks, Ted. Good to be here again. Pleasure to see you.
Good to have you both. And Ken, a lot happening in this area, and I want to bring our audience up to speed. So I thought it best that you spend a little time with us today with Keith and kind of give us an overview into what those changes are and how they affect dealers and how we can help them increase that retail labor or parts markup.
Well, it's an evolving business for us. Things change quite often. Statutes get updated, and of course, everybody probably knows all 50 states have a statute of some sort. Some statutes are stronger than others, and there's always changes, modifications, what we call amendments to the statutes. But one thing that always remains the same is that you're always eligible, depending on the state as to how often you're eligible, to resubmit for an increase. And that seems to be, what some of our dealers are, I hate to say most, that could be a bad word, but a lot of dealers don't understand or don't really pay attention to when they can resubmit. They'll do it the first time and get a really, really nice increase. And some cases it's, it could be a couple $1 million we've seen in increases from larger dealers, and then they just kind of forget about it. And especially now when everybody's having great years, as you know, the industry's having record profits, in the dealership world today. So hopefully that lasts, but let's be realistic, it may not last. So we're back to relying on fixed absorption and what the fixed operations department contribute to the overall net profit of the dealership, and that becomes even more important. So the opportunity is resubmissions. And what I simply mean is anytime that you have any changes in your operations as far as labor rates go, or parts pricing strategies change, and your rates increase, well, it's time to go back to the manufacturer and get an increase, because they're not going to give it to you. You're no longer on the automatic CPI increase, or especially with parts, they'll never give you an increase. You have to file under the statute. So that's the opportunity that we see, and most dealers don't take advantage of that. And it just amazes me. The other day, we saw a dealer with $500,000 laying on the table. That it's a resubmission, and he's leaving $500,000 behind. So
that's incredible.
We're going to capture that for him. And like I said, it's not real at front of mind right now, because we're doing so well on the variable side. Grosses are so high, and even though inventory is constrained, we're making a lot more money per unit than we're used to. So the focus is on variable, but it's going to shift, and we like to get ahead of the curve and maximize every dealer's opportunity.
Ken and Keith, we're hearing that throughout the conference now. A lot of the panels, a lot of discussions so far have been on how things are going to be a little bit more difficult coming up in 2023. Here we are in mid-November. We've only got about maybe 6 weeks left in the year. So we're preparing now for our 2023 plan. Is there an annual review that you do currently for your clients? I know you keep tabs on your clients and how they do, but you're right. This could easily be out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah, exactly. One of the things that Keith does in our firm is he keeps track of our clients and when they may be due for increases based on the statute. All the statutes are different, but typically it's every year. So we like to do a review every year, whether you think there's an opportunity or not. It doesn't cost our clients anything, or even new clients, for us to do a review of their numbers to see if there's an opportunity that's worth going after. So even just not our existing clients, if you've never worked with us before, the opportunity for you at no charge, no obligation. We're not salespeople. I'm not a salesperson. So I'm just here to help. I'm here to maximize your outcome. So if I can help you in any way, I'm happy to do that. So one of the things we do is yearly reviews for everybody, just to see if there's any opportunity. And typically you'd be surprised that there is.
I want to ask Keith about that. Keith, what are you seeing from your perspective?
Well, everything Ken said, just spot on. What I would like to do is just encourage our dealer clients and the dealers that aren't our clients is to prepare for that next increase. Put that parts pricing matrix, that labor grid in place now. As soon as you get your increase, let's start working towards next year, because next year will be here before you know it. And just put yourself in the best possible position for that next increase.
So Keith, that's a great point. It takes time to prepare this, doesn't it? I mean, not only on the dealer side, but on your side. And then, there's collaboration that you do with the dealership as well. So it's probably never too early to start that, Keith.
Well, it is never too early. As soon as that increase happens, the clock starts ticking, and it will come around again. And Ken has some really amazing parts pricing matrices and some labor grids that can really put some dealerships in excellent positions. So all you have to ever do is just reach out to us, and Ken will get those in your hands very quickly.
I was not aware of that, Keith. So Ken, I've heard a number of leaders on this event, now and in the recent past, talk about a matrix, and not everybody, is aware of how that works, or let alone has a good one. So it sounds like that's in your wheelhouse.
Yeah, definitely is, Ted. As you know, I have a fixed ops background like you do. So, I've been in the consulting business, and over the years, I've created many parts matrices. And like I always say, some of the best ideas I've ever had are ones I stole from other people. So I collect matrices.
That's called research.
That's right. That's research. So I collect matrices. So I have a nice little library of matrices that I know that work. Also on labor pricing grids as well. And to Keith's point, one of the things that we do for our clients is to help them in that area. So even though we may get them a very healthy increase, when we look at their data, we can quickly see that, hey, we can help them in other ways, such as introducing a parts pricing matrix and even training their staff as to how to use it. Because, parts pricing matrix you have to have some finesse. You have to understand where to apply it and where not to apply it. So we do a lot of that. We live in a Zoom world, so we don't have to get on an airplane and fly anywhere. So it doesn't cost our clients anything to do that. And we hop on Zoom meetings all the time with staff, with service managers, service advisors, explain to them how to use labor grids and those types of things. Things that are typically done inside the dealership by a consultant. Those are services that we offer all of our clients. So that's one of the advantages of working with Bellavia, Blatt, and Dealer Law is we offer that service, and we're all fixed ops people. We're car people. So we're just not, we're not attorneys, so to speak.
I want to tag one thing on to what Ken just said. The other companies in this space that do this for dealers, and they do a great job, they use an algorithm to determine what lift is available in those dealerships. They plug in the numbers into a software system, and it spits it out. And it looks like it's pretty accurate a lot of the time. However, Ken and his team do it totally different. They use their brains. That's the only computer used on these projections is the human touch. They look at every nuance. So as a human being analyst working on these projections, they're able to get inside the numbers and look at things that a computer just can't do. So I think our projections are typically more robust than maybe the competition. So.
And Keith, I would think that our audience, our managers and dealers would want somebody with that kind of experience on their side, because on the other side, Ken, you've got the manufacturers and they're ready. They've got a team. They've got a team of people looking at these, going through them, probably looking for defects or things they could pick apart. So Ken, speaking to that point that Keith mentioned, you've got to really, advise the dealer and help them to prepare the best possible scenario.
Yeah, and that's very true. Even though the statutes in your particular state really dictate as to how the process takes place and how you prepare a statutory submission, each manufacturer has their own nuances as to what they will accept and what they won't accept. So, in other words, they interpret the statute to their favor. So you have to have an understanding of what each and every manufacturer will do and won't do. If you don't know that, that presents big problems. So we have those relationships with the manufacturers. They know us. So when they get one of our submissions, they typically understand that they're going to be correct. They know that it's coming from Bellavia Blatt. So we have that in-depth knowledge, not just with the fixed ops side, but the manufacturer side too. So we understand how they do business and they understand how we do business too. So that's a really distinct advantage for us.
One of the things that Keith mentioned is that as opposed to some other companies that may do this as part of their business. You really have been the pioneers, Ken, Len Bellavia, with this retail warranty reimbursement early on, identifying the need and starting small and then building it out and really, uncovering for dealers many, many millions of dollars, potentially millions of dollars in increases in both labor and parts, Ken.
Yeah, you're right, Ted. Len was definitely the pioneer in the industry. I remember, 25 years ago when I was in the dealership, I knew who Len Bellavia was. And I think most of us do that are in the business. So he brought that to the table, and he was instrumental in getting states to adopt legislation that address these inequities between, what we charge our customers and what the manufacturers are paying us. I mean, I just saw 2 weeks ago a dealer that was still in double digits for labor. How often do you see that? $91 an hour.
Wow.
And their door rate was 150.
Wow.
So, there are those disparities out there that we see every day. And it's just not equitable. It's just not fair. You can't, so we go to bat for our dealers. We get them what they deserve to get. We don't ask for more than what they deserve, but what they deserve and what they're entitled to under the statute.
You sort of level the playing field for the dealer.
That's a great way of putting it. We do level the playing field, and the manufacturers respect what we do. We're straight shooters. We don't ask for more. We follow the statute. We follow their rules, and we just get what the dealer deserves. It's just simple as that.
And we don't encourage the dealerships to monkey around with the numbers and try and fake the manufacturer out. These are just real hard, real world numbers.
Yeah.
How long does the process take? I know that's going to vary, by dealer, by rooftop, by group, but give me a range in terms of, typically in your experience, gentlemen.
Well, normally just the actual working time is, 30 to 40 hours worth of work for one of our analysts. But the reality is to prepare something, everybody's different. We have to extract data from the DMS. We have to look at RO sequence selections to make sure that we're maximizing the outcomes. So that takes time. But typically, we can get it done within 2 to 3 weeks and submitted within 2 to 3 weeks. And of course, the states dictate how much time the manufacturer has to respond to that request. Most are 30 days, some are 45. There's a few out there that are 60 days, but generally speaking, 30 days. So it's pretty typical 45 days to 60 days before you get your increase.
Last question for today. I know many dealers who watch the roundtable are clients of Bellavia, Blatt, Dealer Law. I can think of several right now that are clients of your firm. Why do your clients come back and stay with Dealer Law and retail warranty reimbursement? Why? What are some of the reasons that you hear that you've got such a high repeat and referral business?
Well, that's a great question, and one that I love to answer because, I'm humble, but this isn't the time to be humble, but we really believe that we're the best in class. So we do the best job. We look at the data, we understand what the data tells us, and we're able to prepare our clients to maximize their outcomes. And like Keith said, we look at every single repair order. We lay eyes on those repair orders. So, when we do the work and we do a projection for a client, we're typically right on top of that. So we really have a thorough understanding of how to maximize everybody's outcome. And we're recognized as such that we are the best in the business. And that's what we do. That's what we strive for. Quality, not quantity, but quality.
Love it.
I'll tell you, Ken, me, Tom, everybody on the team, we respond very quickly to our customers' needs. We don't wait. It won't be the next day. If you contact me or Ken, you're going to get contacted, and we're going to help you in our in the quickest way possible.
Well, let's close with that, gentlemen. Ken, what's the best way for our audience to reach out, learn more about what you do, maybe take advantage of some of those questions that you'll answer for them, talk about what they could do with the matrix and take the next step, Ken?
Sure. Easiest way to contact us is info, I-N-F-O, at dealerlaw.com. Or you could go directly to our website at dealerlaw.com, and there's just tons of information on there. So you can contact us. Our phone numbers are on there, but usually the easiest way to get us is info at dealerlaw.com. And like Keith said, we're very responsive, so we get back to you pretty quick.
Gentlemen, thank you for all you do for the automotive industry. On behalf of the Fixed Ops Roundtable, Ken and Keith, I want to wish you and your families a very happy Thanksgiving. And I did that yesterday with Len as well, and he was on the show. And you're always extremely informative and extremely professional in everything that you do.
Thanks, Ted. Happy holidays to you and your family and everybody on the roundtable.
Same. Thank you so much.
And we'll look forward to seeing you next year, Keith and Ken. And we have a big event in January, and I understand you're also going to be at the NADA. So look forward to seeing you there as well. A lot happening in January and a lot of reasons for our audience to consider retail warranty reimbursement from the leaders at Bellavia, Blatt, Dealer Law. Both Ken, Lohr, and Keith Granger here today at the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Thanks, Ted.
Thank you, Ted.
What if you could make a phone call and collect $100,000 to $150,000 a year by obtaining retail rates on both warranty parts and labor? Sound too good to be true? We do all of the work for your dealership. We are the pioneers in retail reimbursement and regarded as the industry leader amongst dealers, accountants, and state dealer associations nationwide. And we don't share in your new profits. You keep it all. Your service managers and parts managers are busy. They have a job to do. Leave it up to the experts. We offer a turnkey solution. Your manufacturer won't know you retained a law firm. Our firm has made thousands of submissions and has collected hundreds of millions of dollars for our clients in over 45 states. Because of our unmatched experience, our results yield the highest possible increases. We offer a low flat fee, never a contingency fee. Our fees are much lower than non-attorney consultants who take a percentage of your added profits. We are lawyers. This is legal work. Your state statute controls the outcome. The factories rely on their lawyers to respond. So let us level the playing field. Bottom line, thousands of dealers have selected Bellavia Blatt for their retail warranty submissions. With our low flat fee, expert reputation, and behind-the-scenes work model, we are your best choice.
May seem half empty, but it's sure filling up fast. We're here to change the future from the pain that's in our past. Just because it's always been doesn't mean it has to be. We can make a difference. Take this walk of faith with me. Let's light up that pretty night sky together. Gonna overcome the darkness with a love that shines forever. Our lantern's glow reflects our hope in a future oh so bright. We're hand in hand across this land. You know we're gonna light the night. Oh, when our lights all shine together, it sure is a beautiful sight. Go to all the loved ones gone, our miracles in white. Pray for those who lend a hand because they see the need. United in one spirit and the same blood we all bleed. Let's light up that pretty night sky together. We're gonna overcome the darkness with a love that shines forever. Our land is Atlanta's glow reflects our hope in a future oh so bright. We're hand in hand across this land. You know we're gonna light the night. We're in this for life. Oh, come stand with us today. We're gathered around to light the night across the USA. Let's light up that pretty night sky together. We're gonna overcome that darkness with the love that shines forever. Oh, Atlanta's glow reflects our hope in a future oh so bright. We're hand in hand across this land. You know we're gonna light the night and shine so bright. Oh, we're gonna win this fight. Yeah, we're gonna light the night.
Please welcome the mastermind himself, Dave Foy, along with Ed Roberts, up next.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. Dave Foy is the Vice President of Operations at Quantum 5, a great friend of the Fixed Ops community and the Fixed Ops Mastermind himself. Dave, welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Thanks, Ted. It's great to be back. Appreciate you having me.
Dave, it is so good to have you back, and I see you brought a good friend with you as well.
Absolutely, Mr. Ed Roberts. Face everybody knows.
How you guys doing?
Pretty good. I'm excited, Ed, what Dave has coming with the Fixed Ops Mastermind. Dave, you started that about 3 years ago, and you've had some unbelievable success. You've merged that with what Quantum 5 is doing, and I know you got a lot of great stuff to share with us with Ed today. So, we got a big segment coming up with you as well in January. So I'm going to exit the stage if that's okay, and let you guys take it from here.
All right, that sounds great. Thank you, Ted. All right, Ed, thank you for being here with me. I appreciate it. It was about 3 years ago, might have been a little over 3 years ago. It was a virtual get together before the dreaded COVID word came into our existence, and everything went virtual. So I'm grateful that it took off the way it did before everybody even knew what Zoom was, really. So, but we've had some great discussions, some great guests over those 3 years.
No question. Anybody that joins these things, if they don't get something from it, they're not listening. That's for sure.
Absolutely. And we've recorded all of those sessions. So we have all those recordings of the sessions. A lot of those are loaded up onto the Fixed Ops Mastermind YouTube channel where people can go and see them. And we're going to start doing some best of segments when we'll take some clips out of each segment and put together some best of segments where we can get some of the information that we went over back out into the Fixed Ops universe.
Well, since you're going to pull some of that stuff out, do some outtakes there. If you can dress me up a little bit and help me out, it'd probably help the audience some.
Absolutely. Little Photoshop for some hair for both of us, I think.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got coming up in January, we'll be going back to weekly masterminds. We had gone to bi-weekly for a while, but there's just too much going on right now, and too many voices to be heard, too much knowledge to be handed out. So we're going to go back weekly come January and start getting the guests in line. Had some incredible guests along the way, including yourself. We had Lauren Johnson, who was at the time was the mental performance coach for the New York Yankees. It's more than just fixed ops inside the Fixed Ops Mastermind.
Well, at the end of the day, it's running a business. And so, yes, some of those masterminds from other businesses can certainly help us inside our world. But that's great news that it's going back every week, because retention, with all the buzz that's out there right now, retention is just so huge going forward. All the fear of what EV is going to do to the industry, and they're not going to need to come into the service, all that stuff. People just need some reassurance and a shoulder to lean on and some guidance along the way. And weekly would be great.
Yeah, absolutely. That the report that came out not that long ago that showed retention had dropped to its lowest level last year, and it was still, I think it was like 31% or something. It's like that's a dismal number to be celebrating.
It is. We run in the mid 70s here. Sometimes we spike up to 78. That's not the norm. But I cringe that I'm losing 22% of that business, and nationally we're losing 69%. I mean, it's ours to lose. We lose it to people that don't even sell them, and so they're ours first. And if we do the right things, then we can retain them, and then we all win when we retain them.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that is definitely a subject that we'll cover in one of the Fixed Ops Mastermind sessions. We're doing, along with bringing this back every week, we're doing a little bit of a revamp of it to make sure that we don't just get on there and just talk about this stuff and everybody goes their own way and nothing happens with it. We'll build in some more action planning and accountability on things, so that we can start to follow up on the things that we talk about too, to make sure that these ideas that come out within the mastermind community actually start to get implemented and start to make more of a positive change in the industry.
Well, we got to stay fresh, so that's good. We can change it up and stay fresh with current content. One of the things that I do here in our staff meeting, our weekly staff meeting here, is someone has to bring multiple people, but there you can do it with one or whatever. Maybe it's just an idea for you, but they have to bring a bright spot of something that we talked about the week before, how they implemented it and what it did for them. And when you do that, it's just giving them purpose to go out and put it into action so they can come back and talk about it the next week.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. And so one of the things, Ed, that we talk about is that this business is so competitive, right? Where we're always trying to beat the next store. And we're all very competitive. We all want to be number one. But when we come into that Fixed Ops Mastermind group, everybody's there to collaborate. Everybody's there to help each other. What during COVID, we did sessions where guys like Shon Reyes from Recall Masters came on and gave out free things to dealers that were on the mastermind to be able to start keeping business coming in, why the world was shutting down around them. And that's what the mastermind is really about, right? It's about being a community and out there to help each other.
Well, like you said, everybody wants to be number one, and we're in the car business. If we're in the car business, we got some kind of competitive atmosphere or some competitiveness to us. But we don't necessarily lean on each other for that support, and that's up to us to work on that. And I mean, look at professional sports teams out there. They study film every single week, so they can learn what the strengths and weaknesses are, not only of them, but of their competitors. Well, we don't have film of our competitors. So we can bring that stuff in and talk about it here, then everybody wins from it.
Right. Absolutely. And everybody is one of the big things that we talk about is whether you've been in this business for 4 months or 40 years, you come into a room like that and everybody at some point has an idea that is valid and works. And you take the guy that's been in it for 4 months and maybe has a completely different perspective from someone else that's been in here for 40 years. And they can go, wow, I never really thought about it that way. And that's how we can really affect some big changes.
Absolutely. Well, it's being a coach. A lot of times consultants come into a place and it's easy to identify something, but as a coach, you kind of open up to the coach. As a consultant, you kind of defend. You got to stand your ground. Well, we're different here, and we're different here because of this. Well, coach is just there to make you better.
Yeah,
change the mindset.
Yep. Absolutely. And you referenced professional teams earlier. That they all have coaches, multiple coaches, right? That's none of us are so good that we can't get better. So,
Absolutely. And they don't come over, bring you over to the side and say, hey, you're the best out there, or whatever else. They bring you over to something until you're talking about how can we do something different? What could we have done? Could we have done half step different here or whatever else? And it's all about the journey, where it's not a destination that we've arrived. It's a journey of constant improvement going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And so kind of give people an overview of what the Fixed Ops Mastermind is if they've never attended one. So we get on Zoom. It's a live Zoom with, excuse me, with everybody's there. It's not a webinar format, so everybody can participate. We typically have a guest speaker or at least a subject that we're going to talk about. If it's a guest speaker, the guest speaker goes through and does their presentation, talks about whatever they need to talk about, and then we open up to the Q&A. If it's a subject that we're talking about, everybody's prepared with things they want to address, and every single person that shows up is welcome to speak into that subject. It's an open forum where everybody has something to contribute, and it becomes a very collaborative group. I've made a whole bunch of friends through this Fixed Ops Mastermind, and there's still a bunch of them that I've never met in person 3 years later. So, which is incredible.
That's the world we live in today. We don't have to be in person anymore to make a connection and learn from somebody, but we have to put forth the effort to make the connection, whether it be virtual or in person. And as long as we do one of the two, we can learn.
Absolutely.
So Ed, I'm looking at my calendar here for January, and I'm going to block out, Dave, Tuesday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern, every Tuesday for the Fixed Ops Mastermind. Is that correct?
That is the correct time.
Starting January 3rd?
Yes, sir. January 3rd, we will be back to weekly Fixed Ops Masterminds.
Perfect.
And you know, Ed, like you said, it's so needed. There's so much information in this business. And, you know, Dave, there are many, many people that I have met in this industry, you know, who really, you know, got their start on that mastermind, and, you know, you elevated them, and everybody is equal on there. So I really like the format, and also that it's going to be very accessible being in the evening on a weeknight. So I think that's strong, Dave.
Awesome. Thank you. There's just one other thing, Ted, we've got in addition to that coming next year, early next year, is we're also going to have some additional masterminds. So it won't just be for Fixed Ops. We'll cover the rest of the dealership landscape, and be able to get everybody involved and get everybody some help.
Perfect. That's needed, Dave. I'm flattered to hear that, honored to hear it, because our industry needs it. Our people listening to this needs it, and that's going to do nothing but help.
Stuff.
And you got a lot of great resources there at Quantum 5 to share with us too, Dave. And Dave, appreciate all you do for the industry, you and Sarah and Dave O'Brien and the team that, you know, you've assembled there. So congratulations to you on all that success.
Thank you. We're grateful to be embraced by this community. It's an incredible industry that needs to continue growing strong.
No doubt.
All right. So Fixed Ops Mastermind coming in January 2023, Tuesday nights, every Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern. We don't want to miss it. Dave Foy is going to be back with us in January at the next Fixed Ops Roundtable. We're going to go ahead and host a Fixed Ops Mastermind here. Ed, I hope that you'll be available to take part in that as well.
Absolutely. Wouldn't miss it for the world.
All right. So fantastic. Dave, if I don't get a chance, I want to wish you and Alyssa and your family a very happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you. You also, Ted. You and Gene have a great Thanksgiving.
All right, we will. Fantastic. Dave Foy, everybody, here today from Quantum 5, the Fixed Ops Mastermind, here at the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
We encourage you to dare to dream by scanning the QR code on the screen or going to fixedopscares.org to make a donation to the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. Our next speaker is none other than the masked man himself, David O'Brien, here to unveil technician hiring and retention trends.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. David O'Brien is the president and CEO of Quantum 5. Great friend of this event, making huge strides in our industry, making big changes on the forefront of a whole lot of things. He's supporting us Dare to Dream today. Dave O'Brien, I love the mask. Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Ted, there's only one reason you could get me in this mask, and that's about doing good for leukemia and solving cancer problems. I would tell you it was all about you, but it was really more about whatever I can do to support this. Hey, we're glad to be here, and I love it just like last year when you did this special event.
Well, thank you. And Dave, we are greatly appreciative of you and the Quantum 5 family. This event is supporting this year, the Dare to Dream Project, which is the children's initiative at the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. So a lot of times the children need different treatments because the adult treatments have long-standing impact on their health in the future. So LLS is in the process of raising $175 million for the children, and we'll do our small share here. So, Dave, thank you so much for all that you do and all you do for our industry. I want to talk to you.
Ask for the rest of it.
Yeah. Go ahead. I want to chat with you a little bit today with our audience and talk a little bit about what you're seeing in technician hiring. Very, very dominant topic right now, and retention trends based on some of the surveys that you are doing.
You know, Ted, this is an area that has become a key focus for us, right? It's been an industry focus, but what Quantum was able to do this May with our acquisition of ESI Trends was to be able to tap into knowledge. Ted Crable founded ESI Trends 24 years ago. And the reason we at Quantum were able to complete the acquisition is Ted wanted the firm to go to a company that would start to really implement solutions with dealers, to be able to bring not just data. I'm going to share data with you today, but I know you're going to say, Dave, what are we supposed to do with all that data, right? And, you know, what Ted wanted and still wants, because he's still with us, is how do we take this information about techs? How do we give it to the great dealers that are watching and general managers today and utilize it so that more techs stay where they are and that we create environments in dealerships that make techs go, I don't have a reason to go anywhere else. I love this place. This is where I belong.
Big topic right now, Dave. So give us some insight. What are you seeing right now, and what do we need to be aware of?
Well, first, let me give you the background, right? So our firm is blessed with the opportunity to participate in workforce studies for NADA, for OEMs, and really try and understand what is going on, not to what we think is going on. And so by doing that, we're able to look at year-over-year changes in the industry, thanks to the work Ted has done for 2 decades. So when you look first at the good news, right? So let's start with simple stuff. And you go, what happened from last year to 2021, right? What happened that should make us all say there's good things going on in technician workforce issues? So you start with this idea that says turnover has dropped. And the good news is that turnover amongst technicians in dealerships across the nation has gone from 30% turnover in 2020 down to now 28%. And so 2% may not seem like a lot, but you know, as James Clear in Atomic Habits says, if we take little steps forever, we eventually get there, right? We didn't have to take a huge step, but we see things starting to get a little better. We also see that the number of technicians that report through the Net Promoter Score surveys that we do, gosh, we did almost 15,000 technicians alone so far this year, right? And when we look at that data, the number of them who say, I think I'm going to go shop for a new job has dropped from 22% down to 19%. So dealers are doing things right now that are causing technicians to go, all right, I don't think I'm going to leave, and I'm not even going to start sniffing around as much for should I be going somewhere else.
Okay.
And I think when you look at some of those positive trends too, right, there's been a growth in wages for technicians.
Clearly.
They've seen dealers making inflation adjustments to the flat rates.
Yeah.
They're doing the things that are working on their schedule, right? Because we've been short, we've been asking a lot of technicians, hey, how about some extra Saturday time? How about this? How about that? You know, and they say right now they see improvement in their work-life balance. They see improvement in dealers trying to, you know, coordinate compensation for them. So there's a lot of positive, I think, happening.
Any negative things that you're hearing, Dave?
You know, what we look to is what do they say in those surveys that we do, Ted, and what we try and understand is what's causing you to not want to stay at the dealership. And increasingly, technicians say that over the last 2 years, there's been a burnout factor. Yeah. And it's not something that they know how to control. Hey, you know, we've all been in this short inventory process, but that also means that trucks show up with more cars at one time now. And we've been looking at these technicians and going, hey, we got to get these out before the end of the month. So we need you to do some overtime for help us prep these cars, help us get them ready. Accessories had to be installed. We also have techs today who they get a customer car and they start to work on it. And then we say, by the way, the part won't be here for 2 weeks. It's just going to be slow. So put that car aside, put your income on that car on hold for a little bit, and then go work on something else, and then juggle. And maybe we'll get the part faster, maybe we won't. And so you have those things moving in concert that have created a different kind of stress for techs. Is that fair?
Yeah, it is. And you mentioned inventory. Part of that inventory, Dave, is the hours that the technicians sell. What are you seeing in terms of pay for those hours and where that falls in importance for the technicians?
So, you know, when you look at technicians who say, I'm not happy, or I'm not as engaged, or I'm thinking of looking elsewhere, right? Pay still comes out the number one issue. Now, they give their dealers credit for the fact that, again, some inflation adjustments to flat rates. They give their dealers credit for, okay, you're trying to compensate me better. But interestingly, Ted, they still cite, when you go one level deeper, what's wrong with pay. They don't say, I just want more. They talk about things like there's still some of that favoritism stuff that we as leaders, we have to work on, right? Mm-hmm. They say that the way work is getting assigned, you know, things we've heard for a long time that they still watch. And this is a younger generation of technicians now, and they're just pretty vocal about, okay, why isn't it fair? Why isn't it done differently? Why isn't it more equal? And I think it's something that all of us helping fixed ops teams, we just have to stay on top of talking to leaders about. This generation isn't going to tolerate any inequity in those processes. You also see a significant number of technicians when you dig deeper and go, why are you thinking about leaving? And they go, I don't want to do this anymore, meaning physical wear and tear on their bodies.
It's hard work. Yeah.
The delays in parts, the hard work, add in some weather in different parts of the country, right? Whatever that is. And they go, I don't want to do it. And lastly, I think there's some disruptors who are skillfully getting inside the heads of our technicians. I think their name is Amazon. I think their name is fleets that have vehicles like Amazon on the road, and they're buying, Mercedes Sprinter vans as fast as they can. They're delivering Amazon packages, and they're going, Mr. Ings, you're a skilled Audi technician. Would you like to never work a weekend again? Mm-hmm. Would you like to have a air-conditioned, comfortable facility to work in? Would you like Amazon stock? There's different disruptive entities now doing fleet activity and delivery activity more than in the past.
And those companies like Amazon, there's an unlimited budget to offer those types of things. So that's interesting that you say that. What about in terms of the dealership as a good place to work or not? What are you hearing back on that?
So we see more of the techs today inclined to tell us that when you look at the Net Promoter Score they give their store, there's a greater propensity for techs. We've seen an increase of about 12 points in the Net Promoter Score saying, I do work at a good place. I would tell my family, I would tell my friends, this is a place that they should come to. And I think even more optimistically is there've been an increase in would I recommend sales, and sales saying would I recommend service, right? So we're seeing some good movement in those areas. I say good because it's in relation to where we've been, right? I don't say it's been good as in we should take our eye off the ball though, Ted. We still have lots of room to work on it. When only 6 out of 10 of our technicians have been there for 3 years or more, we have room to get better, right?
Yeah. What are you seeing out there? Maybe share some retention strategies that you've heard from the leaders in fixed ops, because I know you're working with a lot of them in this space.
Yeah, so I have boiled it down lately to a top 5 list, right? When I talk to dealers about this, I just go through these 5, Ted, and I always hope that they're helpful. Some of them you don't need quantum to do, okay? So these are things that I hope our audience here can just take some notes on, because if you start to do these things, you don't actually need some help. My number one recommendation is hire for retention, right? When you look at your current staff and you go, if I had to rehire them today, would I do it? And okay, why did I hire them? What was I thinking? And go look at the hiring decision process right now, right? How many interviews? How fast did I go? How slow did I go? What did I put the candidate through as an experience? We think a lot about employee experience. We think a lot about customer experience. How about the candidate? What did we put them through? How long was it? How difficult? What should we be doing to hire for retention? What data did I bring in? Did I use any behavioral data? Did I use consistent interview questions? What did I do to hire for retention? Number 2, when you listen to technicians, one of the things they tell us is the communication wasn't great in the dealership. So I tell service directors all the time, so go think differently about communicating. What are we doing to facilitate communication other than walking around and saying, hey, if you guys need something, let me know? Well, are we using other medium to communicate? Have we thought about how technology and texting or texting apps like Slack or communication apps like Teams inside our Outlook programs? What can we be doing differently to communicate? Because we have 45% of our dealership workforce now is either a millennial or a Gen Z. You and I have some of these as kids, right? So as a parent, you and I know, okay, I got to communicate differently. And in a dealership environment, we got to redefine it. We don't even give some people paychecks. They get direct deposit. So I can't do a paycheck stuffer. I can't just hang something in a meeting room. I got to approach communication different is my number 2. Number 3, I tell them to include include everybody in how are we going to solve problems around employee experience. We can't run from this conversation. We got to run towards it. Firemen put out fires because they run into fires. Service directors have to run towards how am I going to make the employee experience better for you? And we've got to say, what can we? They're not going to just say, I want more pay for less hours. They say things like, I was at a Honda store in Ann Arbor, Michigan, about 3 weeks ago. And one of the technicians came up to me and he said, I would like to help create an advisor thought tree about how to ask the questions around a repair that doesn't always happen. Before they just hand me the car and they go ride with this customer, if they would do this and ask this, I go, come on, let's build it. I go, I don't know what you know, but I know how to build a decision tree. Come on. And then we got a couple of advisors together.
Okay.
Get in a room, right? Let's solve this by including them. My number four recommendation always is start redefining the onboarding and career plan process. You know, it's interesting, techs look at you and you talk to them deeply about why are you thinking about leaving? And they go, there's no real career plan for me. What's the difference? I don't see what my future is. And we go, okay, we define onboarding. You talk to the same dealers I do, Ted. Sometimes they define onboarding as a half a day. I define onboarding as the first 100 days. I define career planning as everything from 100 days to 3 years, right? It can be as simple as what's the book we're going to help them read? What's the class when they start making more money that we send them to learn financial planning activity with their spouse so that when they break 100,000, they now save some, right? What are the things we do that make them go, my career belongs here, and here's how they grow me as a tech and as a person? And then my number 5, you wouldn't expect me not to cover it, but we do have to start reimagining schedules and compensation, right? It's not going to be easy. We have a consumer base that we've trained for 100 years. Bring us your car during these hours. We've now included Saturdays. We have stores running multiple shifts, right? And yet, if we don't start reimagining some of how we're going to create hours, create shifts, you and I are good friends with some folks in Texas that are reimagining work schedules, right? You've helped them do it. Right? We have to continue down that path. We have to help and go, what could we try? It doesn't have to work perfect, but we have to make progress.
Right.
And our teams have to see us trying to make progress to give them different ways to say, I'll stay in this industry. So those are my top 5. If we do those things, it'll help.
Dave, here we are. We're in mid-November, Thanksgiving next week. Maybe 6-7 weeks left in the year. December is coming up. You've got something going on in December. You've got an event. You have an upcoming hiring and retention event. Tell us a little bit about that. Who's speaking? What's the topic? Give us the info on that.
So I learned this by watching others, which is we've got to do a good job, not just because it's Thanksgiving, but of giving back. And so what we wanted to do is give Ted Crable from ESIQ.
Okay.
We wanted to give Sarah Van Tyne from our firm.
Yep.
I wanted to give Dave Foy, the Fixed Ops Mastermind, a chance to talk more about technicians. And I wanted to share the latest in the NADA data with our audience. I wanted to help the quantum clients gather in a virtual environment for a couple of hours where we could share this. But I also wanted to broaden it to a wider audience. So I also have invited Kathy Polachko. Kathy is the
I know, Kathy.
Of GP strategies, automotive practice.
Yeah.
Just so tapped into what are OEMs thinking about how we grow our teams and what's going on across a wide swath of global OEMs and the work they're doing. So those folks are going to gather together with everybody that wants to join us so that we can share some data and share with, okay, how do we move forward with new and different solutions? Quantum wants to help, but I also want to just share what dealers can do without paying somebody. So I want to do a little bit of both before this year ends. And thanks for giving us an opportunity. The Quantum website will have links to it, and people will be able to sign up for it.
Okay. So that's coming up in early December. Dave, I want to thank you and wish you and your family a happy Thanksgiving. Your boys are very much involved in the industry. I've had a chance to interact with them, and you got a great family. So, Dave, on behalf of the entire automotive industry, happy Thanksgiving to you and your family.
And the same to you and your family, Ted, and to all the good folks of automotive. May we all stay thankful for the good things that have been provided to us and this great industry that takes care of so many in communities. There's people from dealerships feeding the homeless today, Ted. And it happens everywhere in America because of the way dealers have built the business.
Yeah. Everybody, David O'Brien is the president and CEO of Quantum 5. You can check out Quantum 5 at quantum5.ai. They're all over social media. You can't miss them. He has a big, growing team. He's working on a lot of amazing things. I'm looking forward to that event in December, Dave. And again, thank you for all you do.
Dig deep in your pockets, everybody. Donate. Thanks, Ted.
There we go. David O'Brien here today at the Dare to Dream Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Presenting the Quantum 5 mobile app, the perfect companion in building frictionless customer experiences. After you complete your first in-person learning experience with our team, you'll enter the Quantum 5 world by receiving a text inviting you to download the app. Follow the steps from that link to download the app and verify your phone number. Then you're in. You'll then receive a congratulatory message and an introduction from Dave O'Brien, CEO of Quantum 5. Next, you'll select your social style, or you can take a quick assessment to determine it again. Once you choose your avatar, you're ready to get started. You must complete one card of each social style before you can unlock more personalized journeys. Next, we take you to the dashboard of the app, your one-stop source for all the information you need about your current progress, news, or daily quick tiles. Quick tiles are customizable tidbits of knowledge, quotes, or maybe a question to help you think about interactions you've had during your day. You can even configure the app to send you quick tiles during the day, to help you get engaged in the morning or to reflect on your day in the evening. Learnings are grouped into cards that have beautiful art to help you visually catalog your achievements. You can collect and eventually share these cards with your colleagues if you find one useful or memorable. You can see the progress of all your active cards right here on the dashboard. When you're ready to jump back in, simply select your card. You can tap to access your activities and track your progress, or see a summary of the character where you can also record notes personally related to the social style type. Here's an example of a video scenario. The video is presented, and the user can select the answer to progress to the next question. You can even turn your device sideways to see the video in full screen.
I've never driven a Raptor before.
Learnings on the card vary. This can be as simple as asking a multiple choice question, or as complex as a video scenario with multiple questions about the scenario. Community managers can send newsfeed items to your device. They're shown in chronological order with the most recent article first. When the article is no longer relevant, like an announcement of an event, it will automatically disappear from your feed. You can tap the View All button to see an expanded view of all the newsfeed items available. Depending on where you are on your learning journey, you might be able to start a new card. These cards will be shown in this section in stacks. Based on which card you choose, you can progress forward in your journey, or you can stay at this level and learn more about the current or previous topics. As mentioned earlier, once you have completed one card from each social style, more cards will become available. We're constantly creating new content, which will be distributed to members based on the journeys they're on. You'll receive a push notification when new cards are added to your journeys, so you can keep on learning. Your completed cards are always available for you to review. Help is a tap away. The Support tab opens an ongoing private chat between you and your community managers to help you with any issues you're experiencing. This concludes our quick tour of the Quantum 5 mobile app. Thank you for watching.